In the past few months, we have adapted and grappled with the unknown. We rethink what matters to us and what keeps us believing. At this special online edition of the Here Arts Carnival,
search within, reach out to touch someone,
connect in the space between.
Many nights we prayed with no proof anyone could hear. In our hearts a hopeful song we barely understood. Now we are not afraid, although
Hello everyone and welcome to the third and final day of the Here Arts Carnival online edition. I am Jermaine and I am honoured to be your final MC of this online carnival. If this is your first time tuning into the Here Arts Carnival, thank you for joining us to catch the final day of the biggest arts carnival on campus, brought to you by NUS Centre for the Arts, or CFA for short. Every year, the Here Arts Carnival happens in the first few weeks of the school year to welcome NUS students back to school with the arts. So how do we usually start the night off? With our first Here to Win segment. We will be having these giveaways every hour tonight. And for each giveaway, we will be asking you a question about the programs in the Here Arts Carnival. To participate, you must first be registered on our live chat function, Chat Space, where you will not only get to take part in the giveaway but also chat with me, other audience members, and interact with people participating in tonight's program. Now let's see who I can say hello to on Chat Space. Hello Tomato Cellulose, Lynn, Foprosterous, and Survivor. As you can see, Chat Space is a place where you can let us know what you think as well as win prizes during our Here to Win segments. So if you aren't registered yet, you should quickly do so now under the register button on the website. These giveaways will take place each hour, so do keep a lookout for it. Right now, we are going to be giving away $50 worth of Domino's Pizza vouchers. So get your fingers ready and may the fastest fingers win. Are you ready? Here's the first question of tonight. When we kicked off the Here Arts Carnival, we opened with the virtual opening show. Can you tell me what is the title of the song they performed? Send your answers into our chat space. While waiting for the answers, we just want to thank all of you for being here today at Here Arts Carnival. This year, as we are all aware, is a little bit different due to the COVID-19 situation. But as you have seen from the past few days, we are finding new ways to make and share arts through digital space. Which brings us to this year's theme, In the Space Between. We want to invite everyone to join us in making art in the space between us. Nowadays, we are all hyper aware of this concept of space. However, space doesn't necessarily have to separate us from one another. Rather, we are finding new ways to make use of the spaces between us, be it physical or digital, to bring us closer together. And within the past 2 days, we have brought you through many different spaces. On the first day, you had a peek into our campus University Cultural Centre. And on the second day, a tour through NUS Baba House. We have also gotten to know our 21 CFA Arts Excellence Group through the talk show Club Sandwich, with tonight being the last episode and the long-awaited appearance of the actual sandwich. Finally, we have also been watching and voting for the hilarious short video performances featured in Open Circuit. So make sure you stay to the end of the night because we will be announcing the voting results later. So don't worry if you do not manage to catch these segments live, as they are all available here on our website at cfa.nus.edu.sg/here. Just click on the programs page and the playbacks will all be uploaded there. Okay, I think that was more than enough time to send in your answers. Thank you so much for your participation. We will check who the winners are and will contact you through your registered email by next Monday, so keep a lookout for that. Now that we are done with the first Here to Win segment, let us continue to stay online for more content and giveaways. On Wednesday, we took a sneak peek into our University Cultural Centre, or UCC for short. And yesterday, we went through the NUS Baba House. Our third and final destination today is the NUS Museum. Situated at UCC, the NUS Museum is a cultural hub that actively facilitates intellectual and cultural life within and beyond NUS. Also, from mid-July, we launched the NUS Museum Instagram Challenge, where we invited you to recreate a sculpture or painting from the museum's Ng Eng Teng collection. We will be announcing the winners during the tour later, so tune in to find out who our top 3 submissions are. For this tour, we will be having our very knowledgeable guide, Michelle, bring you around the museum. So let's all say hi to Michelle. Over to you.
Hi, my name is Michelle and I'm from the NUS Museum. Today I'll be bringing you on a virtual tour of our very own University Art Museum on campus as part of Here E today. Before we go into the exhibition galleries, I'm just going to give you a little bit of our history. So the NUS Museum was actually opened in 1955, which makes us actually the first institutional art museum in Singapore. The university then was actually known as the University of Malaya even, and so our name was the University of Malaya Art Museum. As the University of Malaya Art Museum, it was actually started by Professor Michael Sullivan to support the teaching of art history, as well as to facilitate research into the art and archaeology of Singapore and Southeast Asia. As the first institutional art museum in Singapore, it meant that we were also greatly involved in the development of art and culture in the 1950s. Today, we have amassed over 10,000 objects across 4 collections, of which 3 of the collections are located here on the Kentridge campus and that we'll give you a glimpse of today through the virtual tour. Our 4 collections include the South and Southeast Asian Collection, which is a collection of modern and contemporary Southeast Asian and Singapore art, and was the first collection that was started in 1955. The second collection is the Lee Kong Chian Chinese Collection. The Lee Kong Chian Chinese Collection is an extensive collection of Chinese ceramics, bronzes and jades, including ink paintings from both modern and contemporary artists today. The Lee Kong Chian Collection is interesting because it started at Nanyang University before making its way over to the Kentridge campus. Why? Because the Nanyang University and University of Singapore merged to form the National University of Singapore in 1980. The third collection is the Ng Eng Teng Collection. The Ng Eng Teng collection is by one artist only, by the name of Ng Eng Teng. He was a famous sculptor in Singapore, and you will see many of his public artworks around the country. His collection includes sculptures, paintings, sketches, sketchbooks, and it's an interesting collection because it's the biggest collection owned by any museum in Singapore. Now we'll make our way into the museum. We're actually now on the concourse level of the NUS Museum, about to enter the permanent collection exhibition, Radio Malaya, A Bridge Conversations About Art. Radio Malaya, the exhibition, brings together our collection of artworks together with a radio play written by S. Rajaratnam. This radio play's name is called A Nation in the Making and was broadcasted in 1957 on 6 parts via the radio channel Radio Malaya. As you can see from this text over here, the radio play is in narrative form. However, what it really was an encapsulation of ideas by Rajaratnam about community and nation as Singapore went towards self-government and eventual independence. Together, the radio play is actually featured alongside this side of the exhibition on the left and our artworks on the right. Our artworks begin from the earliest artworks that we collected in 1955 to some of the more recent works that was brought into the collection in 2016. Together, as you walk through the exhibition galleries, you'll weave between the text as well as the artworks, and hopefully, depending on your academic background, your interests, you will generate new perspectives beyond what the museum has put forth. We also have several gallery guides that provides frames of references that you can read the exhibition through, and many of these guides were actually created by our own interns. So follow me into the gallery as we look at some of the artworks in closer detail. So in this side of the gallery, you can see these are our artworks from the 1950s and 1960s. Popularly, they are known as the Nanyang style of artworks because this was when artists began to include both Western as well as Chinese art techniques, combining them together to form something that was uniquely Singapore. If you look at these artworks around you, you also see that these are scenes of Singapore as well, and they are both oil paintings and ink paintings. But what I'm going to introduce to you now is something slightly more different. It's actually called a woodblock print. We are now looking at a cluster of 3 woodblock prints. Woodblock prints are personally very special to me as well because they were my first introduction to the NUS Museum's collection. A woodblock print is actually created not by drawing onto a piece of paper, but rather, as its name suggests, carving onto a piece of wood. So an artist will have a block of wood, carve onto it, ink it with the black color ink, and then print it on a piece of paper. Now, because there was the woodblock print, it meant that you could make multiple copies of the artwork just from one block of wood, rather than say an oil painting or ink painting where you can only make one piece. People had to go to a museum or exhibition gallery to look at it. With a woodblock print, you could print it onto a cover, for instance, or in the newspaper, and that meant that the impact of the woodblock print can be very much more diffuse across different groups of people than say an artwork could be. Now, if you look at the woodblock print, you also see that there are many details that you can actually discern, and it's even more impressive when you consider that a woodblock print had to be created by carving on a piece of wood, using sharp objects to create the image that they wanted to. So that meant that they had also a lot of labor involved in the making of a piece of work, and if you think about it, the carving of a piece of wood is a very violent and sharp act as part of the process. So that also probably could have contributed to the ways that the image was also created and the ways that the image was chosen. We're now looking at a woodblock print called the May 13 incident, and it was of a particular historical episode in Singapore of a student uprising. If you look at the woodblock print in detail, you'll notice that there are actually more than just one student in the work. There are actually 5 or 6 individuals surrounding a policeman who look like he's about to strike down a student. The details of a woodblock print is even more impressive when you take a look at smaller pieces like that. If you look closely, you'll see that there are a lot of details to be discerned, which you wouldn't be able to see if you're looking at it from afar. Now, this is a very pastoral scene, a landscape scene, very much different from the May 13 incident one. And if you look closely, there are actually at least 5 figures of farmers who are toiling the land, and different flora and fauna, including the coconut trees, as well as the landscape behind. So we'll now move on to the next section of the museum, the top floor. Let's go. We are now at the top floor of the NUS Museum, about to enter one of our temporary exhibition galleries. On every floor, we have both permanent collection exhibitions and temporary exhibitions. They are both meant to problematize and contextualize each other, so they are carefully selected to be placed together on the same floor. The temporary exhibitions also tend to be collaborations with artists to introduce new contemporary practices as well as hone our curatorial abilities. We're about to enter an exhibition called Tropics A Many Consequence, an exhibition with Ken Chan. Ken is a Singaporean filmmaker, and at the center of this exhibition is his short film called Sunny. Going towards Sunny, which is a short film played over 3 screens, this film inquires on how the tropical imaginary continues to frame aesthetic and artistic identities, as well as how the visual tropes of jungle and frontier are intimately connected to our state and colonial projections of the region. The film tells the story of how Ho Kok Ho, who was the president of the Singapore Art Society, travelled to London to hold the first ever exhibition of Singapore art in Europe. This film is actually a historical speculation of how that episode went. Ho Kok Ho apparently left Singapore without any plans, or at least not much details on how he would hold this exhibition. Through sheer luck and determination, Ho Kok Ho was actually able to organize the exhibition, featuring over 90 artworks in the first ever exhibition of Singapore art in London. It was also attended by a member of the British royal family, the Duchess of Kent. On the LED panels here, we actually have a vocabulary of words and terms related to the tropics, as well as the artwork captions in this exhibition and excerpts from the reviews of the 1955 exhibition. Together, a collection of words that then form the colonial perception of the tropics and also interrogate how they continue to pervade and linger in today's contemporary perceptions. So as you walk around the gallery, besides the film Sunny, you also notice that there are other artworks in this space. What we did during the process of this project was also to invite Ken Chan to dive into the museum's collection of Singapore art from the 1950s, at once to enhance his research by examining the artworks by artists who have featured in the 1955 London exhibition, and also for us to bring our artworks from the collection to dialogue with the contemporary film that Ken has made. Here, Ken has 6 artworks to surround his film. Artists featured are Chong Su Ping, Liu Kang, Chen Wen-si, and Chen Chong Sui, all pioneers of the Nanyang style and all had featured in the London exhibition. The juxtaposition of such works and Ken's film provides us the opportunity to examine the visual tropes and representation and together interrogate how tropics, modernity and artistic agency continues to feature in our art practices today. So surrounding the film Sunny are also 6 artworks from the museum's collection. These were all personally selected by Ken during the research process of the exhibition. We invited him to delve into our collection of Singapore art from the 1950s and 60s and to examine the artworks of artists who have featured in the London exhibition. Over here we have Chong Su Ping. This is an oil painting called Pounding Rice. This was done in 1953. And next to it is a work by Chen Wen-si on gibbons. As you can see, this is an oil painting while this is a Chinese ink painting. So really quite different in style, but both produced around the same time. In this section, This is another ink painting by Chong Su-pei. But if you look at this ink painting, it looks more similar to the Chen Wen-si work than even his own oils. That's because it's likely that the dimensions of the work are very similar to the Chinese ink. But however, if you look closely at it, you will see that the ways that the work is being derived is actually more cubist in nature rather than the more expressive forms of Chinese ink. Here we have another work by Liu Kang. In this corner, we have two landscapes, one by Chen Chongsui and one by Suri Moyani. The Chen Chongsui work is interesting because when you look at it from afar, it looks like a traditional Chinese ink painting in both its dimensions as well as the way that the perspective of the mountains leads you towards to the bottom. If you look closer to the center, you'll see something very unusual, which is that it's not Chinese-style houses as you might expect, but rather a kampong that is at the side of a river, and the flora and fauna surrounding it. Chen Chongsui also begins to depict coconut trees, things that we are more used to than, say, the Chinese-style flora and fauna, which he did also incorporate into this work. So if you look at this work, it's almost like he's trying to showcase the Malayan environments, but while still trying to incorporate his Chinese ink painting techniques and his education into it. This is the kind of Nanyang style that we're talking about, where they begin to put things together to depict something uniquely Malayan. So now we're going to move on to another section of the gallery to showcase the artworks of Ng Eng Teng to you as well. So we are now in the permanent collection gallery for the Ng Eng Teng collection. Ng Eng Teng donated all these artworks to the university before he passed away between 1997 to 2000. Altogether, we have almost 1,200 artworks ranging from sculpture, pots, sketches, paintings, as well as his sketchbooks. We have even some of his earlier works from his student years, such as this piece with the two Russian dolls that was completed in 1958, to his very last work called The Last Masterpiece. The Last Masterpiece was actually completed posthumously by his family after his death. The work comprises of cotton swabs of his blood that was taken during his dialysis treatment just before he passed away. If you look around the gallery, you'll notice that most of the artworks are about the human body. This was his primary artistic subject throughout his 4 decades of his artistic practice. On this second shelf, you will see this is what we call the Face to Torso series. The Face to Torso series was developed in the 90s when Ng Teng began to do nude sketching again. As he continued to sketch the human body, he realized that he could see the face in the torso and the torso in the face. And so this series of sculptures was created for that. When we look at it, we can see both features of the face to torso in just one piece. On this shelf below, we have a series of sculptures that are called the rockers. The rockers was Ng Teng's attempt to be more playful with his sculptures. Most sculptures tend to be quite solid, it's just sitting in one place, but with the rockers, you could actually move them so that they can actually make a sound for some of them. Unfortunately, we're not able to move the rockers for you right now because they are technically in storage. I would love to show you, but hopefully one day we'll be able to do so. Let's move on to another set of artworks here. On these two artworks in the middle, you will see how ably Ng Teng is able to manipulate the human body from a realistic form to a geometric form. The middle grey sculpture, the human is in a yoga pose, but when you look across to the next one, which is also another type of rocker, almost more seesaw-like in its form, you would think that it's not a human body at first, but when you look closer at it from the top, you can see that there are 2 circles in the middle. Those 2 circles actually represent the eyes. And if you look at the bottom, you'll see that that's kind of where the legs are. So that is the human body form that he is able to abstract out from a more realistic one over here. On the shelf below, you will see these 2 green sculptures. Besides the human body itself, Ng Teng was also interested in the human emotions and how do you express that. So these 2 sculptures on the bottom shelf, the 2 green ones, they are called wishful and they are called dreaming. I'll leave you to decide which emotion is attributed to which sculpture as you decide how you think about these 2 emotions yourself. So the Ng Eng Teng collection does not just include sculptures or finished pieces of work, it also includes maquettes, which is the sculptural equivalent of sketches. Maquettes were made when Ng Teng was moving from sketch to an object to see how the balance and proportions that he envisioned on paper would work in 3 dimensions. So you can see that they look prototypical in their development, and he would make multiple pieces to test out the various ways that he could manipulate the form. Maquettes will also be used for approval of his public artworks that he was proposing. So he would send his commissioners the maquette of the work that he intends to do when it's approved, and then he'll move on to the figure form. So if we look at some of these pieces over here, they will look very familiar to us. So if you take a look at these two pieces here, this is the maquettes of Wealth and Contentment. We used to be placed at Plaza Singapura, but it's now outside the University Cultural Centre on campus. Behind, there's another very recognizable piece as well called Mother and Child. Mother and Child was placed at Orchard Road and is now at Orchard Parade Hotel. Over here, we have another recognizable piece. In the center, where there's one circular ball in the middle, this was placed at Changi Airport Terminal 1 and would greet arriving passengers who came to Singapore. This is the last piece of work that we're going to show you today. It is called 1 + 1 = 1, and it's actually the entire exhibition's title as well. 1 + 1 = 1 is actually a series of 6 artworks, and it's one of the most unusual ones in Ingting's collection, because it is actually mechanically produced rather than molded by hand as you would usually do for everything else. 1 + 1 = 1, when you look at it, sounds like it's wrong. 1 + 1 technically does not equal to 1. But why would Ingting name a sculpture like that? So if we look a bit more closely at the artwork, I think we can begin to see why. When you look at this piece of work at the beginning, all we probably see is the lines in the center. But if we were to tilt our heads a little bit to the right, hopefully something else starts to emerge. What you will probably start to see is actually the side profile of a face. So this is the eyes, this is the nose, and these are the lips. So it's actually two interlocking faces in one, in a very intimate kind of embrace that we see here. So what we actually have here is 1 + 1 = 1. So 1 + 1 = 1, rather than a mathematics equation, is two separate units coming together. So what Ingting's 1 + 1 = 1 teaches us is that we should actually be looking beyond the surface of what we see and to interrogate of what we know. And hopefully today we have shown you some artworks as well as the exhibitions, and that you'll come down yourself to make sense of it and see it through your own eyes and to make sense of it beyond what I've shared with you today. We hope to see you at the NUS Museum soon. Bye! Good evening, everyone. We hope you enjoyed your whirlwind tour of the NUS Museum. There were quite a few more galleries we didn't have the time to show you, so we hope you'll come down soon to see it for yourself. The museum is now open from Tuesdays to Saturdays, but as we are a nutritious campus facility, don't forget to check your zone assigned days before you come to visit. So now is the time for us to take some questions. It can be on anything you just saw in the tour or even other questions you have about the museum and our programs. Can we have the first question, please? So the first question is, since there are so many pieces in the museum's collection, how do you choose what to put on display? Yes, we have over 10,000 objects, so it's quite a challenge for us to decide what we would like, but that depends also on our exhibitions as well as the kind of conservation rate that we have to put our objects out. So some objects need to rest a bit longer, so they only can be shown for a short period of time, and our curators will make the best choice available then. Can we have the next question, please? Why does Sunny have red and blue screens? That's a really good question, one that I also asked our curators when I first saw it. But when you look at the video, the Sunny video itself has a lot of greenery in there. So the red and blue screens are meant to counteract that green color, to have that primary colors that are so much part of paintings that can be found in the galleries itself. Thank you for that question. Can I have the next one, please? So the next question is, how long are the temporary exhibitions on show for? Our temporary exhibitions are generally on show for at least 6 months, and they can stretch to about a year and a half. And that's to correspond with our permanent exhibitions that are on for 3 years or so. So in that period of time, we hope that extended conversations can be had between the temporary exhibitions and the permanent exhibitions. And they're also there for a good period of time for people to come back repeatedly to see the exhibitions again. Can I have the next question? So this question is, what is the significance of the last masterpiece, especially given Ng Eng Teng's interest in the human body? Were there also any concerns or special considerations taken for this piece? Yes, the last masterpiece is actually a really poignant work. It is the last work that was done by Ng Teng and completed by his family based on his written instructions. And it was the last artwork delivered to the museum as part of the Ng Eng Teng collection in 2001. It's a beautiful piece. In fact, I always thought it at the beginning is always a little bit strange because it's made out of blood from Ng Eng Teng's own dialysis treatment.
But after a while, as I saw it over the years, I realized that it's actually a very beautiful piece in the sense that for a man who has made so much works about the human body that we see in the gallery, this last work of his is from his own body itself, and that he's always a part of his collection too, that he has so generously donated to the university and to the museum for all students to use as part of our studies in not just in NUS, but in all education in Singapore. Yeah. So I hope you'll come down and check out the work yourself and take a look at it. Can we have the next question, please? So this question is, a lot of the women in Ng Ting's sculptures look pregnant, and there is a mother and child theme. Why is that? There's several reasons. For one reason is that that kind of pregnant look that you see is also meant to support the base of the sculpture. So there's a very structural reason for that, and it's called a bulbous base. With a bulbous base to the sculptures, you can actually sit the sculpture down on the gallery floors, on the gallery pedestal without any additional support. So it's a very stable piece of work in that sense. So Ng Ting did a lot of kind of technical considerations when he also looked at the piece of work and its form. And why is there a mother and child theme? Well, he was very, very close to his family, and he owns a lot of gratitude to them. So in some of his interviews, he has actually said that if not for his family giving him the space in their home for him to build his kiln and for him to have his studio, his works wouldn't be around and he wouldn't get so much freedom to be able to pursue an artistic career in the 60s, which is, of course, something that is quite rare and difficult to pursue at that period of time. So that mother and child and even father and child theme recurs very much throughout his practice, throughout the 4 decades of his career. Yeah. Can we have the next question? The question is, what are the purpose of the rockers? Is it just to encourage interaction with the art piece, or is there more purposes? I think primarily, yes, is to encourage interaction with the piece. Ng Ting also had a very playful style to these works, and he wanted to kind of explore that through the rocker series. Is there more significance to that? Well, in some of the rocker pieces, you can actually hear a sound when you rock the sound. So it not just incorporates movement, but it incorporates sound into a sculptural piece as well, which is again fairly rare, I think, in terms of sculpture. When you look at it, it seems like a very solid piece of work. But with the rockers, there's sound, there's movement, and you can see how it interacts with the viewers as well. So it's a very ingenious way that such a small piece of work can incorporate so many elements into it. Yeah. Can we have the next question? So this will be our last question, and this question is, what is my favorite work? Well, my favorite work is actually a woodblock print called Backstage of a Puppet Theatre by the Singaporean artist Lim Mu Hui. And this is a work that incorporates the wood block and the print itself, like I shared earlier in the video. And this work is very special to me because it's one of the first works I saw in the NUS Museum when I was a student myself in NUS, and it was a piece that I wrote an assignment on. So I did a lot of extensive research into that piece, and so it's remained very dear to my heart in this last decade of me from being a student to working in a museum today. So that was our last question. Thank you so much for all your questions. There was quite a lot of interesting ones. And I hope that there was a great opportunity for us to share more about the museum itself. And we hope that you learned a bit more and you'll come down to visit the museum very soon. Now, as promised, we'll be revealing the winners of the NUS Museum Instagram Challenge. So if we can have the slides. This is the third prize that goes to Rao Tisa, who recreated this work called Garden of Eden, which is actually on show in the Ng Ting Gallery right now. The second prize is awarded to Jacob Y, who recreated Ng Ting's own self-portrait. And the grand prize goes to Kezzy Z, who took on the challenge of this painting called Girl with Orchid. Congratulations to the winners, and thank you all for participating in this challenge and for all your hard work and creativity. We really enjoyed looking at all your submissions, and we hope that you also had fun while learning something new about Ng Ting's beautiful sculptures. You can now head on over to the Here Arts Carnival website to see all the winning entries on the IG Challenge webpage, and the winners will be contacted soon for more details on how to receive your prizes. Again, thank you so much for spending this time with us this evening. We hope you'll come by to visit the NUS Museum as well as the NUS Baba House very soon. Or join us at our upcoming talks and film screenings that we'll be sending into your inbox for more information soon. Thank you so much and have a good night.
Thank you for the tour, Michelle, and congratulations to the winner of the NUS Museum Instagram Challenge. Such creative recreations of our museum artworks. Our next segment is Blackout for Humanity, where we asked you to create a one-page blackout poem using a piece of literature, magazine, or any page of text. Each poem follows the theme of hope, self-care, solidarity, and appreciation. Tune in to see all of the amazing submissions and hear from our panel of judges as they talk about poetry and award bookstore vouchers to some of the best entries.
Hello, everyone. For those of you watching, welcome to the Here Arts Carnival. I'm Jennifer Ann Champion, and welcome to this segment, #Blackout for Humanity. This is an event that is multilingual. We have been taking in entries for blackout poetry in any language that people have wanted to produce. Unfortunately, we only have Chinese and English submissions, but stay tuned for reviews and a chance to see your poem later on in the show. With me today is my friend and poet, Stephanie Dogfoot.
Hi, my name's Stephanie Dogfoot, and thanks Jennifer, and thanks to NUS for having me on.
Hey Steph, do you want to start us off with maybe reading one of your poems?
All right, so I'm going to read this poem called Why This? It's from this book, my book called Roadkill for Beginners, published by Math Paper Press, and you can get it online from Math Paper Press. All right, so this is my poem. It's sort of a poem about being vulnerable, a poem that's a dedication to all poets, especially those who perform their work on stage, or anyone actually who has ever had the courage to put your work out into the world, especially to all the people in this competition as well who've taken part. So it's about sort of inspired by my experiences being a spoken word poet. It's called Why This? This is for every time I've stepped onto a stage, sweating, shaking, blinded by the lights above. This is for every time I've mistaken eye contact with strangers and across the room smiles for the idea that the world loved me at last. This is for the first poetry night I went to alone, knowing I would have at least one friend there. For the way you know you have poetry friends, the moment you realize you have people to drink and laugh with until sunrise, comparing all the worst shows you've ever done, and then you end up kissing one of them. And then your bra will disappear under a bed that you will lie in for 6 hours, thinking about how 4 months of hands brushing against shoulders in crowded bars should have meant more than a slurred, you know this will only happen once, right? And then that lousy poetry gig at midnight with the 5 people in the audience, you thinking if the organizer liked you enough to book you, you might have gotten to do more than a 5-minute set, and tell yourself you just need the stage time. The way I tell myself every good performer always needs the stage time. Every gig where I find myself between lips afterwards, mistaking them for appreciation of my rhyme schemes, them appreciating and mistaking the smell of endorphins rising from my skin for pheromones. We all know it was mostly leftover adrenaline. The way those sentences I string together to kill time between poems are as improvised as the decision to fit your earlobe between my teeth, thinking, hey, it made one person smile before. Yeah, it's got to work again. The way I sometimes imagine a wind in flashing neon lights above my head for every new face between my legs, and for that smile I know I will get from that one line in that 2-minute crowd-pleasing poem that gets an audience on my side every single time. It's 10% charm, 10% timing, 80% eye contact, but mostly it's getting over all that trembling. It's about the way every time I hear my name through a microphone, Every time I step onto a stage, I still feel the blood rush to the back of my head as if to trigger a voice deep inside that says, you know, you really shouldn't do that. And that moment, in the middle of the second poem and that gig 10 minutes after midnight with the 5 people in the audience, 4 of them on their 7th pint, realizing you don't need to win over an entire room, just that one person at the back who's truly never felt like this before. Because sometimes, I loved that poem, can really mean just that. Because there never was, and there never will be, a flashing neon win. Just some sweat and some stage lights, a voice and hands clapping. If you're lucky, a smile, but always, always the adrenaline. That's
Woo! Thanks, Steph. It
yeah.
made me really nostalgic for when we used to be able to perform poetry live.
Really, like as I was performing it, I realized it was like, this is really just about a live performance. It's something we haven't yet been able to do in so long.
We've had to adapt. But you know what I really like? Because now that you have to perform to a webcam, like I can see you really close up and like really look at the performance on your face, and it's like, yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Well, we're here for the poetry, so let's get right to it. Let's review some poetry that was handed in. And these are the winners that we've actually selected out of, I think there were 30 entries. This one is by Timothy Wan. Do you want to read it, Steph?
Yeah, I'll read this.
Okay.
So it's Timothy Wan's poem, and this is what it sounds like. In the morning, it'll be pretty bad. I know. I'm going to feel sick. It hurts, but it doesn't last. You'll get patient like this. I want us every day, but just we should tonight part company. Understand just for a minute. I'd speak to you again. I'm gonna. I swear I am. And I'm with you. All right. That's Timothy Wan's piece.
So for those of you who aren't sure what blackout poetry is, this is the example. So you take a text and you black out words and you leave just the stuff that you feel is necessary to basically carve out a poem, which is what Timothy has done. Typically, the blackout will completely obscure the words, but because this is quite light, we can see the original text, which is from To Kill a Mockingbird. And so we can really appreciate the effort that Timothy has put to make an entirely new text. I'm sorry if that's not a sound. That's my cat.
He's able to, like transform the piece into something completely new. And we can see the maybe some of the emotion he captures and some that he leaves out. That he leaves out the context, but he captures some of the emotion and just like emphasizes it, condenses it, and gives it a whole new meaning.
Yeah. And I totally relate to this poem because like I just had to have a conversation with my partner and I was having a panic attack and I was like, I love you, but I can't deal with this now. I will speak to you later. So very relatable. Thank you, Timothy.
Yeah,
you get you get a $20 book voucher from Books Actually. Let's move on to the next one. This is by Ong Yun Ning. And wow, just look at that.
Yes.
Gorgeous.
So I think this is definitely one of the possibly the most aesthetically pleasing and just really beautiful poems that we got. And you can just tell.
I'll read it out really quickly for those of us who have like really tiny screens and can't see the words too well. Falling, figure forward, furrowing into the darkness, the sky scattered, the drip ran out and spilled down, the stains spread inch by inch. Sorry, people are delivering things to me right now. Inch by inch, A streak of phosphorescence bulged in tension. Moonbeam-bodied creatures swelled in, and the stains that seeped smoothed a layer of silver with brightness. Dressed, cheek-silvered and shoulder-sculptured, a bubble of air escaped, the moon pulling on one side, the water lifting, a silver shape moved out toward the open sea. What I
You can see
really
even,
love about... Sorry, Steph, what do you want to say?
I'm just saying, even the like looking at it is one thing, and then reading the words gives it a whole another level of like gorgeousness and beauty.
And definitely also with Blackout, because the words are interspaced, like usually we read left to right, but because of the placement, the reader then reconfigures the way they want to read it. So maybe the way I read it might not be what Yunning intended, right? In terms of the space and all that. But that's just what happens with Blackout. And yet the graphic itself is also leading you to read certain words over others in a continuous flow. So the movement here is really excellent. Excellent job, Yunning. You too get a $20 Books Actually gift card. We're going to continue the review of the 3 other poems in English in a bit, but for now we're going to move to the section for Chinese entries. And here to help us with that is Dr. Tan Chile. Dr. Tan Chile, are you there?
Yes, hi. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi.
Thank you
Hi
for
there.
having me. I'm Chile here.
Hello.
Hi.
I don't know if the students get to call you Chile, but okay. They call you Professor,
They call me
right?
Prof. Tan. Yeah,
Yes.
it's fine.
So
You get to call me Chile.
Thank you. Chile, how did you get into Chinese poetry and why is it important to you?
Oh, it started very young. In fact, I didn't go to search for poetry, but poetry came to look for me. Since young, I think for Chinese we do recite a lot of classical Chinese poem when young. When my mother and the adults in the family will share classical Chinese poem, and we are supposed to listen, sing along, and then memorize. So that was maybe at 4 years old, 5 years old. So that's when poetry struck me.
Got you very young. You
Yes.
didn't have a chance to escape.
Oh, that's
Well,
the best
let's-
time to learn poetry. Yeah, naturally, isn't it? Yeah.
I suppose so. Let's get into the reviews. I think
Right.
your first entry is by Hua Yushun. Hua Yushun. I'm not a Chinese speaker. Am I saying that right?
Yu Xuan. Okay.
Yushun. Okay.
Right. Let's look at this. I'm going to read it in Chinese first, and then I'll provide a simple English translation. Okay.
Okay.
耐 in Chinese. 耐心点，没啥问题。一句无心的影响不凡，笑着说有说话，积极帮忙人家。Right. So this is the Chinese poem that we have here. Also very well illustrated, using white lines and with a male and a female figure looking at each other, communicating, interacting, as if interacting through the poems, as well as 2 hands with a line joining the 2 hands. So again, another symbol for interaction. English translation. Patient. More patience. Aha, no problem. An unintended line, an uncommon influence. Laughingly said, yes, I spoke out and helped others industriously. Right, that's the translation.
Interesting. What do you like about this poem?
I think this poet, Yu Xuan, is trying to communicate something that is a kind of interaction between 2 people, probably a male and a female, as she has depicted here. And very simple lines, very simple words, but it's almost like a short sentences or short lines being spoken between the two people who are trying to interact, to touch each other.
Yes, touch is something we've all missed, I think, during these uncertain times. Very
Yeah,
on brand.
trying to
Let's move
reach
to
out.
the trying to reach out. Let's move to the next poem. I think this is by someone named Pan Yun Ting.
Yes, Pan Yuting.
Pan Yu Ting.
Right. Again, the Chinese poem first. 我站在乱山顶上，前面是一片云海。我但愿能变成山上的石头，守望着我已经看不见的小船。但我只变成了一片黄叶，一阵旋风把我卷入半空。我睁开眼睛，落在了卧房的床头。Right, the English translation. Standing amidst the summit of mountains, a sea of cloud ahead of me. How I wish I could just turn into a rock in the hills, guarding a tiny boat, which I no longer see. Instead, I've just been transformed into a yellow leaf. A gust of wind carried me into midair. Opening my eyes, I landed on the headboard of my bed. Yep.
I really like this poem very much. The
Yes.
nature and the metamorphosis and the transition as well from outdoors back indoors, and then just solidly into bed. It's a really nice image, whatever language.
It is. Standing in front of like the vast nature, you're looking at the mountains and the sea, and then suddenly returning back onto your bed. No, that is a dream, but then the transformation of a human being from at different places, probably the longing to travel, especially during this time, I think makes this poem unique.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for sharing your expertise and your insight with us on these poems, and for selecting these as well. Steph and my second language is not Chinese, and I think we just wouldn't be able to do this. So thank you so much for your knowledge.
No, it's never too late to start. Thank you very much for having me as well.
Thank you very much. Bye, Chile.
Thank you, Jennifer. Bye.
All right, that was Dr. Tan and those two entries by Yuxuan and Yu Ting. We're going to move back now to the final three submissions that Steph and I picked. And boy, you people did not make it easy for us, really did not. So thank you everyone who handed in entries. We really appreciated and enjoyed them. This one that we selected is by Ko Hong Jun.
Yeah. So yeah, congratulations to Ko Hong Jin. I'll read this poem. Okay, here it goes. Everybody must cooperate with each other to fight against the virus and take the pandemic seriously. And you can see there's a photograph of Xi Jinping and Donald Trump, and the caption, President Donald Trump of the US and Xi Jinping of China. So we thought it stood out quite a bit because of, again, what was hidden and what the poet sort of left us to see. And it was kind of interesting they left the two pictures of the two leaders in this next to each other.
Yeah, it's definitely rare to see photography in blackout that has been left and not just sort of carved out from the poem itself. And also, I think what for me was striking is that the actual poem that's there is not something we would expect Donald Trump to say at all. or at least he has not been saying that for a long time until right now, when the realization of the severity of the pandemic is what it is. And it's also a bit late to mention these things. So thank you, Hong Jun, for giving us this this timely piece of poetry, very on brand for the theme of this competition, which is humanity in the time of COVID. Let's move on to our next poem. It's by Jeremy Yeo. I'll read this one. I could not remember how I was found again by my family. I never believed. I forgot the rest of the pitiful story, blooming on my sleeve. But now that I am moving ever close to the end of my life, I also beginning. I remember everything in the same innocence, true and rest, wonder how I lost myself. I wished to be found.
Yeah, so we thought this was another very, very beautiful piece. So yeah, thank you for this, Jeremy Yo. Because it's a very it's a short poem in sort of a, but I think again it's like what the kind of like emotions which are there, which are sort of condensed, and that every sort of phrase has like gives us a new layer and a new layer level of meaning poem. And I think it's a lot about sort of about disconnect, I felt, and which is again what we feel a lot of us have been feeling during the circuit breaker, during COVID, and yeah, a lot about finding community and like finding your family, but also sort of about losing yourself and then finding yourself as well.
Yes, those themes definitely disconnection and reconnection. Sometimes even like to me, the sense I got with here was connecting against your will almost, because
Yeah.
with the circuit breaker, with people being forced to isolate in their homes with their family, I mean, if you have a family that is supportive of you, then it's an interesting time to be closer to them. But if you're not in a family that's supportive, it can be really quite terrifying. So I like that this poem kind of can be suited for both. Mm. Thanks, Jeremy. You get a gift card.
Yeah.
Finally, congratulations to James Lau.
Okay, shall I read? I'll read this.
Sure.
Would you like to read it? Shall I read this? Okay. Declare. Declare them in the tally. Figures around the world, the united, the first, the million in the action, many rise out of the nations to press on.
So this poem immediately stood out for me, just because it addressed the theme of the competition very well. And also just those opening lines, declare them in the tally figures, made me think very deeply about the way in which we report our COVID numbers every night in the news. And how even though clearly migrant workers are disproportionately affected, we keep drawing attention to Singaporeans and PRs. And so there is a divisiveness, and a line like this reminds us about how we pay attention to people in this time and what that actually says about us and our values.
And also, yeah, because this virus doesn't it doesn't tell the difference between where you come from or who you are. It affects everyone, and anyone can catch it. But so, in a sense, like yeah, tally figures that we see on TV are not necessarily representative. And I feel also this poem is a lot about coming together, about uniting, and also just about yeah, keeping hope alive through like building community.
Mm. Yes, all very important things to bear in mind, especially for those of us at home who are watching, who are feeling like it could do with a little companionship and love right now. You know, it's hard, but do still take the time to reach out to the people you love, or the people who love you.
Definitely.
And as James ended on, press on.
Yes.
All right, so everyone that we have featured today, you all get a $20 Books Actually gift card. And I think the organizers of the festival will get in touch with you very soon to arrange that. And to everyone else, thank you so much for participating again.
Yeah.
We hope that you had fun.
Yeah. It was really a joy to read everyone's work and see the kind of effort people put in and what they were able to make just from texts that they found. And so again, thank you for taking part in this, and thank you to the organizers for organizing this. To end off, shall we hear a poem from you, Jen?
Sure. Let's get me into a poem. All right. So the poem I am probably going to do is from this book. It's called. No, in which direction am I? Yep. It's called A History of Clocks. I actually had this published when I was an undergrad in NUS. I think, was it before or after? I think it was just after. And the poem that I'm selecting, it was written, of course, before COVID, but it's about, it's kind of a love song to Singapore and all the places where we gather and the people that we know. And during this time when we were not able to go to these places or to be with the people that we loved, I think a poem like this will probably make you quite nostalgic. As we phase out of the circuit breaker measures, please remember to be safe and to be kind and appreciative that some of these things are still there. This poem's called Paradise City. Take me to a coffee shop. Any coffee shop will do. Someone will swear it has the best Yong Tau Fu, the gingerest teh halia, the cheesiest egg prata, the quietest air conditioner. No place survives here without being the best at something. Take me to where the grass is green and the sand uncovered, unrubbered, unprotected from the little children joyfully skinning knees in your mind. Take me to the bottom of the city skyline on lunch break, a colony of pencil skirts and reasonable high heels. Take me to the wheels of our best minds churning. Take me to the book-loving gangster, the millionaire cab driver, the cat-feeding flat dweller who knows that a dream is the most expensive asset to own in this city. But how lovely to own something non-taxable. Take me to Paradise City, where the grass is green and the people are shiny and new and always knowing where to go, where to move forward. Where do we go? Where do we move forward? How do we go? How do we move forward? Where do we go? How do we move forward? Modular! Take me home. All right, that is the end of my poem. And again, we want to thank NUS for bringing us on to help out with the judging and to thank all of you who are watching. We can't see you, but we feel your love. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Keep
Thank
writing.
you for-
Keep reading.
Definitely.
Keep making art, keep connecting, and we will get through this together. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a real pleasure, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
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 See you around. Bye.
See you. Take care.
I never could have imagined that we could create poetry like this. All the submissions were so interesting. I think I am pretty inspired to try creating some of these blackout poems myself. We hope that seeing these submissions have inspired you to try sending something new too. Who knows, we might have a hidden poet amongst us. Almost an hour has passed since our last giveaway, and it's now time for our second Here to Win segment of the night. This time, we will be giving away vouchers from Hai Di Lao Hot Pot. So for those of you who have just joined us, each hour we will be asking a question about our Here programs, with all of the answers to our giveaways found somewhere on the Here website. Just type the answer to your question in our live chat space function and be the first 2 people to get it right. Correct answers stand to win $50 of Hai Di Lao Hot Pot vouchers. Now on to the next question. We have just featured a whole bunch of blackout poetry in Blackout for Humanity. Each poem was created around a few themes. Name one of those themes. Type those answers in the chat space. In Blackout for Humanity, we put out a call encouraging participation from anyone interested in creating blackout poems, and we have got entries even from primary school children. As you would have seen from the show, we had some very meaningful and creative poems, so I hope it also inspires you to take some time this weekend to try out blackout poetry for yourself. For the poets whose poems were featured in the show, you will be receiving $20 worth of book vouchers. So we hope this fuels your inspiration to create. Alright, the entries are in. We have found our winners and we'll be contacting you through your registered email by next Monday, so look out for that. In the next hour, we have yet another Here to Win segment. So if you have yet to win, make sure you stay tuned for the next one. Our next program talks about a space very familiar to us, the tropics. The notion of tropics transcends just weather or climate. In fact, many believe that the tropics frame aesthetics and artistic identities. Currently, the NUS Museum has an exhibition titled Tropics, A Many Consequence, which explores themes of the tropics in relation to state demands and colonial projections of the region. For our next segment, we will be screening a short film conceived in relation to this exhibition by Cambodian filmmaker Danek San, entitled A Million Years. Afterwards, we have an exclusive Q&A section with Danek, moderated by film tourist Phoebe Pua. Over to you, Phoebe.
Hi everyone, good evening, and thank you for joining us today for the film screening of A Million Years. My name is Phoebe and I'm a graduate student with the National University of Singapore. And let me start by saying thank you to NUS Museum and also to Here Arts Carnival for giving us the space to do a film screening like this, and especially to the technical team who is working behind the scenes to make sure everything runs smoothly. So I'm really happy to be the one-day representative of NUS Museum. And on behalf of the museum, please let me welcome the filmmaker of A Million Years, San Danek, who joins us from Phnom Penh. Hi Danek, how are you?
Yeah, hi. Yeah, I'm good. And you?
I'm good. So Danek will be here to come back with me later on after the film screening to discuss the film together. And if any one of you have think you may have questions, please make sure that you're registered on the platform, the Here Arts Carnival platform, so that you'll be able to submit your questions to the chat box and it will appear on the screen. And we can answer your questions from there. So let me introduce the film briefly before we begin. A Million Years is a 21-minute short film by Cambodian filmmaker San Danek, and it begins with a young woman named Ong with a friend relaxing along a riverfront. And as Ong looks out to the mountain and the river, they compel her to recall past memories. And the landscape also compels her to reveal something deeper about herself that is paradoxically simultaneously very personal, but also universal and timeless in a sense. So that's all I'll say about the film. I don't want to spoil it. A Million Years premiered at Busan Film Festival in 2018 in October, and it also came to Singapore that same year in December as part of the Singapore International Film Festival. And at the Singapore International Film Festival, A Million Years won the Best Southeast Asian Short Film. Let me also say one more thing about A Million Years that I think makes it quite special. A Million Years is partially, or maybe then I can tell us later on, supported by an online crowdfunding campaign on Indiegogo at the end of 2017. And this crowdfunding campaign is the initiative of NT Archive, a film production company that's based in Phnom Penh, where Danek also works. And the project was titled Echoes from Tomorrow, and it set out to fund to completion 3 short films by 3 first-time filmmakers from Cambodia. And Danek's A Million Years is the first film to come out from this initiative. So even though I said that this is Danek's first film, she has actually worked in every aspect of film production, and she's a very experienced filmmaker as well. And I know that she's also working on several other projects at the moment. So I'm especially happy that she has taken time out of a Friday night, no less, to watch the film with us and also to answer some of the questions. All right, so I think I've spoken enough. We should get to the film, and then Danek and I will return after that with some questions. So thanks, Danek, and let's have the film, please.
Thêm.
Cái em nói không ấy, em thọp khơi em thọp nó say mà nè. Hay nhưng mà làm tha nhưng để thọp score quạt vì bên nam ao chăng. Tay nhưng mà đại ban chụp quạt phòng.
Nào kê chứ. Đấy.
ដែរ
មានអីខ្ញុំជួយ
សុំវិញ្ញាពីកាមក
ទៅមុនណា
នេះឃើញម្នាក់នោះអត់
ណាគេតាំងពីមកដូចអត់ទាន់ឃើញណាគេផងខ្មៅឡងទេអី
គាត់ធ្វើការនៅនឹង
ដូចអត់ឃើញផង
សាត់មកភ្នំនោះមកគាត់ថាមិនឆ្នាំមិនបានខ្ពស់ប៉ុណ្ណឹង
អាមួយនោះមែនទេប្រហែល1លានឆ្នាំអីដឹង
លានឆ្នាំបើ1លានឆ្នាំប្រហែលជាមានព្រៃដុះច្រើនជាងហ្នឹង
តែមានដឹងអត់អាព្រៃឈើធំហ្នឹងដឹងគេកាប់តាំងពីមុនយើងមកឬក៏កាប់តាំងពីមុនយើងកើតមែន
និយាយមកធ្វើដូចតាចាស់ Mày cái nó phía xa đây tăng tiền mà sao mình tạ khanh tao không
ហៅឯងតែប្តីហាន់នីតែមានអីសប្បាយម្យ៉ាងដែរតើបើគាត់ថាដូចខ្ញុំអីចឹងឆ្វាក់តែប្រុសហ្មង
nhóm năng ấy nôm được thà lên cảm thấy nạt chụp cái này ở lớp 2 khai cho chia này tầm niên bà đây mà ta
ចឹងបានអត់បានមកលេងជាមួយគ្នានៅហ្នឹង
nhưng mỗi một tháng mà nhóm về mỗi kia hương mà ba cái trong ai cái nó tầm con xài nó sọc cái nạt cái nó hai về bản chất về phép nhóm tha về ở hiên phép mặc ba về chẳng tới về con mà về hưởng hiệp ca khai mà nhung đầm bay ai mặc ba cái ngập chất
ហើយអត់មានអូខេអីមួយគេ
នៅតែតែស្គាល់យ៉ាង ចេះមិនដែរសិនមកខ្ញុំគេងសិនណាចាំដែរមក នៅទឹកហ្នឹងមានក្រពើអត់កាលខ្ញុំនៅក្មេងខ្ញុំធ្លាប់មើលរឿងនឹងថិតច្រើនហើយមានរឿងមួយនោះមានក្រពើស៊ីមនុស្សដល់ពេលតាំងពីពេលហ្នឹងមកខ្ញុំក៏លែងហ៊ានចុះទឹកតែខ្ញុំចេះហាលទឹកតិចតិចតែគ្រាន់តែហាលក្នុងអាងទឹកថ្លាបើសិនជាទឹកផែកល្ងឹតចឹងផែជាទៅអត់រួច
មានក្រពើមួយក្រពើភ្នំ វាស្លូតនៅនេះអត់មានទេមានតែនៅស្ទឹងអរ៉ែងក្រោយពីសង្គ្រាមអត់មានមនុស្សចង់រស់នៅក្នុងតំបន់នោះដោយសារតែមានមីនច្រើនពេកតែឥឡូវតំបន់នោះអភិវឌ្ឍន៍មានបរទេសមានខ្មែរចង់ទៅយកផលចំណេញពីកន្លែងដែលមានធនធានរ៉ែហើយមានកម្រងមួយគេចង់ធ្វើវិរិយអគ្គិសនីបើគេសិនជាធ្វើវិរិយអគ្គិសនីនេះបានក៏ពើនឹងជាប់គាំង
Hi everyone, welcome back. The film that we just saw is A Million Years by Sam Denek, and I'd like to welcome Denek back for a little discussion with us. Denek, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. So the floor is open for questions. Please make sure that, again, I'm sorry to be naggy, make sure that you are registered on the platform so that you can type your question into the chat box and we'll be able to have it filtered out on screen. We can address your question from there. So the floor is open. Please submit your questions if you have any. And while we wait for the first question, maybe I can start by asking one of my own first. So, Danek, I'm really curious about the location where you shot A Million Years. The mountains and the river features very heavily in the film, and it's sort of a very beautiful and very lush landscape. Can you tell us a little bit more about where you shot it, which part of Cambodia was it, and why you chose to shoot there?
Okay. So the film was shot in Kampot on the northwest of Cambodia, and it's along the coast. And originally, I was thinking of shooting somewhere else, which is not far from Kampot, which was in Kokong, because
Okay.
it was like 5 years ago. I was on a trip, like was on a car, and then I um, drove across the bridge along that river called Tatai River, and I just just like from that moment, I would just something like pop up because I used to work on a project before, like in the jungle. So I always attract with the sounds of the animal, like it does sound scary, but I wanted to see like to find out, like I wanted to go and find out like what is the sound exactly. So there's some kind of attractions in the forest, but when I saw that river and the forest, I was like, wow, there's so much more than just in the forest, in the land. There's something in the water as well that I cannot discover. And also I have my own like personal fear of getting into the water and stuff like that. So it's kind of for me, like, yeah, something like I'm scared, but I want to go, like it's this kinds of feeling. So then after, when we decided about shooting location, we
Sorry,
see that
Danek,
in
I can't really hear you. Okay. Yeah, no, it's good now. You cut out for a bit.
yes. Yeah. So then after, we think about shooting location, and we think that in Kakong it was difficult to shoot because I don't know anyone, and it's in terms of budget, it's just difficult to do. So then we decided to do in Kampot because that's the place that I mean, it's quite similar, but it I've been there so many times. I know some people, so I know the kind of like geography there. So I did the scouting by myself and find the place. So yeah, that's how it works for the film. And
So,
actually, we just a little
sorry, go
note
ahead.
because I really did also the weather check as well, because the water in different time it turned out different. So that's why I also, it's the reason that I wanted to shoot first because of the the weather.
What do you mean by turn out different, the water?
The color, because
Wow.
with different season, because it's connect with the fresh water and sea water. So in certain months, it just become like not kind of brown, but like it's not a clear. It's not clear in like
So
dry
you chose to shoot
season.
in the clearer time.
Sorry, I couldn't
You
hear
chose to
you
shoot
again.
when the water was a bit clearer, or you chose to shoot when the
Yeah,
water was a bit murkier? Okay.
clearer.
Right, right. Okay, cool. Um, I have a few other questions to do with the things that you have said, but I think maybe it's more interesting if we hear from the audience. So let's have the first question, please. I'll read the question for everyone. What personal experiences inspired the film?
Yeah, I have a few. It's first it's related to, I mean, in the film is the beginning, like when she asked about the tree were cut off in a mountain. That's what I always curious. Like I like to see those mountain, but when I go to places like within the country, I see different thing. And then it's a bit I would say it's a bit childish questions as well. Like as you kind of grown up, but then you ask these kinds of questions. But it's just like me always curious that that so I find it's very something that we as the younger generations will not have it. I mean, uh, it's just way of to reflect to the past time, like what we see now, what was happened in the past. So that, and the other thing was about the arranged marriage, that she talking about her friend and this kind of this dating app and stuff like that. So it's mainly like within my, I mean, close friend of mine. That's how is it, the way that I observe their life, how they are living in a conservative family where they cannot express their sexuality. So then they hide it from their family, but they open for their friends. But in or even the family knows about that, but they just ignore and pretend that it's nothing happened. And the arranged marriage, it's always happened a lot of times. So that that's something that for me it's more like the anxiety that you have to deal every day, and it looks like you're not sure of how to solve that also.
The anxiety is a big theme in the film, I think, and it comes through from the characters, but also from the way that I think the camera moves. We can talk a little bit more about that in future questions. I think there will be more. Can we have the next question then? Why did the stranger suddenly appear? Does he represent something? Actually, when I first saw the film the first time, it was also kind of shocking that we moved to a completely different setting and there was this strange person. So explain yourself. Why did you do that?
It's very fictional as well, but because it's related to the damn story, the damn story, because I actually heard the damn story from someone long time ago that I didn't remember. But to have that strange character in it, it's for me it's I would say again it's coming from personal experience, because I would say that I how to say it, like for example, like I used to dream about, I have a lot of dreams about crocodile, but there was, I don't know how that happened. So I would reflect to that, like that strange character. It's like this. It just from nowhere, but it just happened in that dream. So it's really like a purely imagination.
Okay. I mean, I don't know if you want to go as far as to say, because we don't see the crocodile, but the crocodile features heavily in the film. And the man is supposed to be sort of speaking not on behalf of the crocodile, but about the crocodile in some way. So would you then consider him as a kind of embodiment of an animal, perhaps? Is that something that you would
Yeah,
agree with?
I would agree with. But at the same time, I think that as the main character, listening to the man talking about the crocodile, she would somehow consider herself as part of it as well. Because
Right.
at the
Yeah.
end, the development of the dam would block the crocodile from, like going anywhere, like stay within
Yeah.
the place that it's supposed to stay. So,
Cool.
yeah.
Thank you. Let's have the next question. How do you think the film speaks to the exhibition Tropics: A Many Consequence in the museum? Question for Phoebe. Oh, that's me. So, Dinek, if I can borrow your soapbox a little bit. So this film screening is actually coming out of or coming alongside an exhibition that is held at the NUS Museum, which incidentally has reopened recently. So if anybody wants to visit, please go ahead. And the exhibition Tropics: A Many Consequence is an exhibition by a Singaporean artist, Ken Chan. So we initially wanted to think about a film that talked about the tropics in a way that was somehow similar, but not covering the same topics or covering the same kind of aspect. So Ken's exhibition, Tropics: A Many Consequence, thinks about it from a place of, I think, like wonder. And I use the term wonder in a kind of like wandering through sense, which I really saw in this film. So Danak and I had spoken quite extensively about the way the camera moves in A Million Years. And I think if you go down and see the exhibition, and I encourage you to, because I don't know how long more it will stay there. So please go ahead when if you can, and if you're based in Singapore. Both the exhibition and that has a video installation and the film, the camera moves through the tropics, through the landscape, through the environment in the way that meanders, in a way that has no aim, in a way that is sort of exploratory, but not in a colonial sense of exploration, not in a sense of exploring to discover, exploring in a sense to move through the space, searching as not necessarily to belong, but searching if you belong in a sense that way. So that's a little teaser answer for that question, and I hope that it makes you want to see the exhibition as well. Thank you. We shall have the next question then. Why did the camera suddenly take on the perspective of the crocodile? I think we touched on this a little bit, but Danek, do you want to answer it?
I would say it's a perspective of the main character. It's like as she listening to the man, she would just like go into that visual of what it's like to go, like to flow through the water. So, but again, like what I said previously about the identity of the man, but also like herself as she meeting him, also listening the story, she kind of like feel herself that she's part of it. So it's a mix. It could be like a perspective of the crocodile, or it could be of a perspective. I think that's
when I saw the film, I read it as a perspective of the crocodile, but I also, of course, really, having spoken to you, understand your point that the crocodile and the main character is sort of, in a sense, slipping into one another. The identity is collapsing into one another. The main character and her friend and the crocodile. So just now we spoke about anxiety. That was a word that you brought up, and I wanted to ask you, what is there to be anxious about in the film? What is the film anxious about? What were you anxious about when you were writing the film?
anxious about like so the first one was something about the comfort, like the ideas. First is the development, so then it's go with the environment that bring comforts, Like we always think that the development is something better, giving comfort and stuff like that. But as we learn that it's not always like that. And for example, like if to talk about the dam development, it's give like this electricity and it bring comfort to us. But then if we go to the people who lives nearby, how they suffering from the development, or they have to um, move out from their homes and stuff like that. So I felt that it's not fair. Like I felt like kind of guilt. So then it's kind of anxious about that. Like it's
Right.
something that you got it, but it's not. I don't know. Like I'm part of it that make it bad. Like so.
Right.
So
There's that line in the film that I remember very clearly. If the project is successful to build the dam, the mountain crocodile will be trapped. So
yeah.
I also wanted to ask you, because I felt like the woman, the main character, her friend, and the crocodile all have a sense of being trapped somewhere. And I think it comes through most clearly with the friend's story about being trapped in some kind of situation, that an arranged marriage or something like that.
Yeah, this I think that it's kind of parallel with that is that I mean when I said development, but also I said I want to mention about system as well, because
Yeah.
I do believe that when you're in the system, you're it's kind of you're blocked, you're trapped. It could be good, it could be bad. So it's just like again like talking about the landscape and stuff like that. When you're in surrounded nature, you kind of feel free. But when you're in the city, there was so many things was blocked from your vision.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so I just felt that myself was trapped as a person.
So much for a first film. Such a heavy first film you've made. So can we have the I don't know, maybe we have time for one or two more last questions, so maybe we can have one more first. Let me read it. Did you draw on other films or directors who deal with similar themes? Now this is I kind of know the answer to this question, so it's really surprising. So Dinesh, tell us.
Okay, so I would say like the beginning when start writing the film. Actually, I have this idea of how to say it, like when I start watching films, like many film, different types of films, and then I start to see that when you see the film, you can reflect to your own story. So for me, a million years is the same. Like when you go to the place with the nature, the river, it's like you watching a movie. It's like sit down and watching like the boat. It's just like on the river. So it's like watching a movie and you reflect your own story. So that one of the inspirations of what it feel like watching movie. And then I have others like for example, there's one film by Anucha Sovicha Konpong that I watched in
The Thai
2016
filmmaker,
for
yeah.
the Thai filmmaker. By the time it gets dark, so the film was very complex and it's dealing with the mind. So that when I watch the film, I'm not quite understand everything because it's dealing with the history, the country, but her own self as well. So, but I find it so daring. Like you, it's kind of let it out this complexity of the mind and put it through the film. So that when I watch it, I just felt so excited that I want to make the film like that, like to whatever I felt, I want to express through the film. And then as I start writing, I watch other films from another Thai filmmaker, Apichatpong Viratsatako. I watch a lot of his film and I find it so close to me because as Thailand and Cambodia, we are neighbors and our culture, our people was really similar. So a lot of things very connected. And because his film very personal at the same time, I find it how is it helpful for me, like how to integrate your space. I mean the space, your experience into the film. So I really like his way of filmmaking. And then another one is David Lynch, the American director. I remember
Right.
2017. I watched a lot of his film, but especially I was into like the Twin Peaks series,
Yeah.
and it's fascinating because I find it's like it's amazing. Like it just go deeper to human mind, but also in a
Yeah.
brutal way. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
that I find and the sound design as well. Like he play a lot
Yeah.
with that, and sometimes there's this awkward moment in the film, but I find it makes sense. Like it doesn't feel
Yeah.
like strange or yeah. So
So
that's
I
just
asked you this
three.
question like when we first started talking about A Million Years, and the moment you said David Lynch, I was like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The tone and sort of your willingness to go into sudden cuts without explanation. I thought that was very
Yeah,
Lynchian
but
of you.
I
So yeah,
have
we're
I have to
we're kind of
say
running
that.
out of time, Danek. I'm sorry. Oh, go ahead. Go
Mhm.
ahead. Yep.
No, I'm just kind of say like the director Apichat Pong and David Lynch. That's the one thing that I'm just like interested is they're talking about the dream. So that also a big
Dreams. Yeah.
inspiration for yeah.
It is a huge part of the film, but we didn't really have time to talk about it today. We can have
Okay.
time for maybe one more question, briefly. Last one. Thank you. Let's have the last one, please. All right, last question. You mentioned a sense of anxiety. Could you speak more about the scenes? It's contrasted against which seemed very surreal and calm. That's true. A lot of the film is very still, but there is a lot of anxiety that is in the undercurrent of the film. What did you think of that?
Um, I I think that it's also coming from the way that as I mean myself growing up in living in Cambodia, we growing up not really express our own feeling, and like as a woman who also were told that if we express our feelings too much, it's I mean we were told that it's not necessary. It's just like like small things. So then we learn how to keep small thing in our mind and not to really show. So that also the kind of attitude in the character as well. Like we don't show it, but we felt it inside. More in the inner um, feelings. Yeah.
It's for me always more interesting to see anxiety juxtaposed against a very calm setting. So when the character is really anxious, if you hold the camera and you leave it there and you let the silence sit, it's a lot more powerful for me personally. So
Yeah.
thank you for everyone for the questions. I know that we didn't get to a few of the questions, and I do apologize for that. We have a few more minutes. So before I close, maybe I can do just two things first. The first thing is to plug another event that we are holding. So if you enjoyed today's screening of A Million Years and also the Q&A with Danek, we actually have another program that's mounted by NUS Museum and I called Turf Wars. If we can please flash the flyer on the screen. Um, So Turf Wars is a four-part weekly film series that's going to be held at NUS Museum, and it's kind of I talked just now about Ken Chan's Tropics of Many Consequence. It's kind of tied together with that exhibition as well. So it's going to be about the tropics in Southeast Asian films, and we initially planned for it to take place in March this year, but everything with the coronavirus happened, and then the country kind of went into lockdown. We had to push it back quite significantly, and we're hoping to remount it in January 2021. So if you're interested to see more films by Southeast Asian filmmakers, there are feature films, experimental short films, comedy films. We also have panel discussions and director Q&A. Please make sure that you keep an eye out for the NUS Museum social media accounts. And also, I think you'll be able to sign up to a mailing list if you like. So that's my plug for Turf Wars. And the second thing, of course, to do is
I think I couldn't hear you, Phoebe. Oh, okay. So I'll just say goodbye, right? Okay. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, NUS. Yeah. See you.
Thank you, Phoebe and Danek, for this session. We usually think of the tropics as something geographical, but this short film and Q&A session was very insightful in making us reflect on how the tropics can be a framing for a deeper narrative. I'm really excited for the longer film programs that's planned to happen next year. And oh my, the time has flown by and it is already time for our third Here to Win segment of the night. To new viewers, here's how to win. Here to Win happens each hour over all 3 days. We will ask a question about the Here Arts Carnival, and all the answers to our giveaway questions can be found on the Here website. So, do explore our site and all the programs featured. Make sure that you are registered for our live chat function, Chat Space, where you can interact with each other as well as take part in our Here to Win giveaway. Just type the answer to our question, and the first 2 people to submit the right answer stand to win $50 of Bread Talk vouchers. Now, I'm sure you will know the answer to the next question because I just told you an hour ago. A Million Years was conceived in relation to an NUS Museum exhibition. What is the name of that exhibition? Type in your answers in the chat space. You know, the NUS Museum is really a place with so many hidden treasures and fascinating exhibits. There is so much to explore within the many rooms and programs that they offer, and you should definitely check out the Ng Eng Teng collection that was featured earlier tonight. Meanwhile, take a look at the NUS Museum Instagram Challenge, where creative NUS students and staff try their hand at recreating artworks from the said Ng Eng Teng collection using themselves, the objects around them, the household. And with that, the entries are in. We have found our winners and we will be contacting you through your registered email by next Monday, so look out for that. We have one last Here to Win segment tonight, so you definitely don't want to miss that. And it's close to 9 p.m. now, which means it is time for Club Sandwich, a late-night talk show hosted by Abu, featuring our 21 CFA Art Excellence groups. At the end of each episode, throughout the show, please use chat space to ask questions to the various CFA groups, and they will answer them during the Q&A segment of Club Sandwich. I'll now pass the time to Abu, our beloved Club Sandwich host. See you at Club Sandwich!
Welcome back to Club Sandwich. Wow, where has time gone by? We are already on our last episode of our 3-day show tonight. And tonight, I'll finally have my sandwich, built from all the collective efforts of our CFA groups. Unity and teamwork, that's what CFA groups are all about, right? All right, so watch me at the end where I assemble and take a huge bite out of our colossal sandwich. Also, be reminded to use the live chat function to ask any questions you have to the CFA groups. Stand a chance to win a prize if you are the first 3 to ask any questions to the CFA group. All right, now are you ready to meet our CFA groups for tonight? Then our last 7 CFA groups today are... After we've heard about all the amazing performances put up by the CFA group so far, let's meet the group that makes it all possible. Hello, EMCC crew.
Hi, I'm Willie.
Hi, I'm Karan.
Hi, I'm Yunjing.
I'm an ExxonMobil campus concert crew, or EMCC crew for short.
Hi everyone. Nice to see you as you guys are usually backstage. So I'm wondering, what is it like to work behind the scenes?
Sure. We're a student club in NUS Centre of the Arts that have interest in theatre production and outdoor events. Our club has 2 different specialities, production and publicity. Our diverse range of roles for production include sound operator, stage crew, stage manager, production manager, and front of house. For publicity, we specialize in social media management, branding or public relations, and content creation. Today, we're going to showcase a video on an EMCC show that is done 2 years ago called Utama Spaceship. This video will be explained through commentary by one of our members, Brendan Cole, who is the lighting designer of that show. He'll be touching on the different aspects of being a lighting designer and what factors does lighting designers need to take into account when designing the lighting theme for the show. So let's sit back and watch the video.
Hi, I'm Brendan, and I did lighting design for the Utama Spaceship back in early 2019. The Utama Spaceship was a theatre production by Spacebar Theatre about humanity's tendency to retell the same stories to themselves over the eras and aeons, in a fashion that changes on the surface but is ultimately consistent in narrative. I worked closely with Shui and Eugene, the co-creators, to come up with the lighting plan, which basically means deciding what lights to use, where to put them, where to point them, when to turn them on and off, and what colour and brightness they should be. A big part of being a lighting designer is understanding your constraints and working within those boundaries to realize the overall creative vision for the production. We were working with a limited selection of lighting equipment, almost all LED panels with a few tungsten spotlights, and the mounting pipes on the ceiling were pretty low, so it was challenging to achieve good coverage. The script switched back and forth between a few scenes, and the role of the lighting and sound design was to establish the scene given the lack of staging and props. For example, the spaceship interior was illuminated by cool, sterile white lighting, while the tropical island environment was lit with warm orange and green lighting. One of my favorite lighting configurations was actually one of the simplest. It was a fairly quiet, abstract scene with a single spotlight coming from downstage.
That was an interesting video. Now I'm wondering, what were your most memorable shows so far?
Last September, I was the stage manager for the Next Wave 2019 by the NUS Dance Ensemble. I've always loved working with the CFA dance groups. In fact, in my 2 years with the EMCC crew, I worked on about 15 dance productions of various sizes. The Next Wave was rather unique, as it had a very short bump-in period before the actual performance of just 1 day compared to shows that I've worked on previously. It was extremely stressful trying to keep everyone on such a short timeline and only having 1 full rehearsal to make sure I had all my cues down correct. Luckily, the performance went off without a hitch, and it was truly gratifying to have worked with such talented people for this project. My favorite piece was one which had bulbs that hung from the flybars, and I got to move them according to the movements of the dancers, and it was a really cool visual to have been a part of.
For me, it will be Arts Out Loud 2019. I was tasked to plan out the programming side of things, from conducting the auditions for the performers to liaising with them for the tech requirements and scheduling. That process actually took about a month before the show day itself. And during the day, I had to anchor an outdoor event for 2 singing performances and a dance performance by NUS Chinese Dance. I remember working non-stop for 8 hours and by the time it was close, we were done packing up, it was close to midnight. I was so exhausted when I got home.
Wow, that sounds very tiring. Were those your toughest shows yet?
As a stage manager, the work I find the toughest is when I work with instrument groups. When designing cue sheets for these productions, cues are often based on specific notes in the scores, meaning I would have to listen and follow the score while simultaneously following my cue sheet, and talking to the sound, lighting, and fly crew. Before my first solo production, I read the score while listening to the music every day for 2 weeks to make sure that if I lost track of where I was in the show itself, I could quickly find my way back again. It was tough, but it definitely prepared me in taking on more advanced productions later on. What about you, Billy?
For me, it's Here's Art Carnival 2019. For this show, I was one of the representatives for EMCC to attend the meeting with the CFA planning team. And the requirements for me is to assemble a group of production stage managers, or PSM for short, and a logistics team. So for my role, right, I had to coordinate between the EMCC team for both the PSMs and the logistics team. Of course, I had to come back during the NUS break just to attend these meetings.
Wow, it looks like you all are truly the backbone of all the arts in NUS. So now, can you tell us why you joined EMCC and why you stayed?
Okay, so for me, I have always been interested in production processes since my time in secondary school. So back then, I was in a drama club and have always worked backstage for our theatre productions, helping out as a student crew. So that was when I really appreciated and realized the importance of what goes on behind the scenes when it comes to putting a show together. So I was very excited when I found out that there was a CCA in NUS that helped out in productions and told myself that I had to join. It was very comforting to know that they accepted members with little to no prior experience and that seniors and peers were always very willing to teach us things. There were also organized trainings by an industry professional, and it was really interesting to hear him share about his experience in the different productions and events that he worked on. We also got to go on industrial field trips, like the one in the previous semester, to check out the bicentennial show behind the scenes. So overall, I really love that EMCC is a place for abundant opportunities to learn and grow, and it is a really great place to get in touch with the arts.
Wow, you guys are truly the heart carriers of all the arts in NUS, and I'm really impressed. So now let's move on to another group that does not need so much of EMCC's help. Let's welcome NUS Lion Dance. Hi guys.
Hi, I'm Monica.
I'm Chintie.
And I'm Thompson. Hello.
Hi. So first up, can you tell us more about Lion Dance?
Yeah, sure. So lion dance comprises of two major parts, the lion and the instruments. So the lion is made of the 狮头, which is called the lion head, and the 侍尾, which is the tail, while the instrument consists of cymbals, gong, and the drum. So there are also other minor roles which we sometimes do employ, such as the big head doll, which we call the 财神爷, or the scroll giver. So here's a video to introduce lion dance. And this is actually the start of our performance. So the lion will actually wake up and have a bow. And just one interesting fact to share with you guys, actually the drum actually looks into the lions when they do the movement, while all other instruments such as the gong and the cymbals will hear out from the drum while looking at the lion as well.
Wow.
So during our training, we do have orange throwing practice as well. So in an actual performance, the lions will have to eat items such as oranges and lettuce to prepare them inside the lion and then spit them out to the audience as a form of prosperity.
Wow, it looks like you need a lot of experience to be a proficient lion dancer. So does NUS Lion Dance accept newcomers?
Yes, of course. We accept anyone regardless of experience, gender, race, etc. There's no need for any prior experience actually. Our trainings, which are conducted every Wednesday from 7 to 10 p.m., will help to prepare newcomers for performances. As for what a training session will look like, the troupe will actually start off with instrumental sequence, following which we will break into our smaller groups to specialize in whichever parts that we are interested in.
Wow, that's great. I'm sure that those who are interested in lion dance but never had the opportunity to do it before will be very happy to hear that. So I'm now curious. We saw the start of a performance, but I'm curious to see what the end of the performance looked like, or what an actual performance looks like. Could you tell us more?
Yep. So let's take a look at this video of one of the scenes of our performance. Yep. So as you all can see, like the the vegetable that we're supposed to eat is like hang at a very high spot. So we have to do a simple stunt to get it down. So this is like one of the challenge that we face during our performance.
Wow, that was very skillfully done. So I understand that your most hectic period is probably during Chinese New Year in semester 2. So will new members get the chance to perform then?
As long as they keep practicing and keep experiencing new things and attend as many trainings and performances as they can, they expect to perform as soon as possible. This depends on how quickly the members learn. Usually by the end of the first Chinese New Year period, everyone would have had a chance to perform at least once or twice. Chinese New Year is one of the most hectic period for us.
So now I'm wondering, what has been your most memorable experience in NUS Lion Dance so far?
I think all of us agree that the most memorable periods will be the most hectic periods, and this is as mentioned by them during the time when we do Tai Qing during Chinese New Year performance, and as mentioned by Monica earlier, after we eat the qing, which is the orange and lentils, and spitting out the orange skin to give prosperity, what we do with the orange meat left is that we will showcase our artistic talent. So we will like build and construct like something like this picture.
Oh, so
Yep.
pretty.
So this is one of the picture that we did for NUS Business Canteen during the Chinese New Year period. Yeah. Other than giving them lucky numbers, we also like do up some artwork to make them happy lah. So if you see the looks on their faces and when they see our artwork, it's like very satisfying for us. And this is the reason like why all of us enjoy performing for others during this period. And besides that, like during performance, we also use like stunts. Like we do stunts, which is like as y'all can see from the demonstration video above. We use them to like capture the attention of a crowd, and like after we do a good stunt, it's very satisfying lah to us. So, and do you all know of the movie Lion Man, directed by Jack Neo, that feature Tosh Chang, which is like a famous guy from Boys to Men now. Yeah, many of the stunts in that video actually are actually possible to be done. So if you all wanna be cool like them and you wanna join us, you can join us in like NUS Lion Dance. Yeah.
Well, I haven't checked that movie out before, but I'm sure the moves are great, and I'm sure you guys can do it as well. So you mentioned that Chinese New Year is your hectic season. So what do you do during your off season?
So during off season, we typically train for harder roles, such as the lion head and drums, as these typically take longer time to practice. However, we do not force anyone to take up any roles, and learning is solely based on each individual's interest in each role. We also organize activities such as gathering, training camps, and cultural visits. If you're interested to know more, do check out our Instagram at NUS Lion Dance.
Well, I guess that lion dancers work hard throughout the year. Thank you so much, NUS Lion Dance. Now, it looks like we have unlocked another ingredient to our sandwich. We have lettuce, crunchy. All right, next up, we have another form of traditional dance. Let's welcome NUS Indian Dance. Hello, Indian Dance.
Hi, I'm Arjavi.
Hi, I'm Pranati.
Hi, I'm Alice.
Okay, so like many other different dances, Indian dance has many hand gestures and different poses that requires a lot of practice for. So tell us, how are your practices like?
Sure, we have two classes, the tech class for beginners and the choreo class for more advanced dancers. In tech class, we start with stretching and warm-up routine, which includes Surya Namaskaram, moon salutation, and breathing exercises. Following that, learn the dance repertoire from the basics. It's a progression from flat feet steps to heel steps, jump steps, and finally hand gestures. At the end of class, we sit together and write notes to consolidate what we have learned so far.
and I'm from the choreo class. Our artistic director, Mrs. Shanta Bhaskar, is almost always way ahead of time, very punctual. So we usually gather at the seating area at Ranveer Shaw while waiting for everyone to arrive. And we talk to her about upcoming productions, any ideas we may have, as well as life in general. And that's probably because we have a very wide variety of students, from undergrads to master's students to as well as a lot of alumni. In terms of class, the first half is usually dedicated to learning a very technical piece, which is meant to polish our basics, learn new techniques, as well as build our stamina. While the latter half of the practice session is used to learn a new choreography for an upcoming production. And every time we learn a new piece of a dance, we are usually given some time to integrate it with the music as well as help each other with any difficult steps. Now, RGV and I will demonstrate some of the very common hand gestures used.
There are 28 single hand gestures, which are the Kadaka Muga and the Alapadma. There are 3 types of Kadaka Muga. This is the first type, this is the second type, and this is the third type. This hand gesture represents the opening of a bracelet. The other very common hand gesture is the Alapadma, which represents a flower blooming.
Then we have 24 double hand gestures. Some of the most common ones are Anjali, which represents praying or bowing down. Then Garudam is used to represent flying birds. Lastly, Shanga and Chakra represent the conch shell and the disc-like weapon held by Lord Vishnu. Now we have a short video clip from our past production. It's a Jugal Bandi where the dancers are sort of having a dance-off. So you can notice the intricate feet movements and the transition from the flat feet steps to the jump steps, as RGV had mentioned earlier. The beats are in Panchanadai, which means 5 different beats. That is in counts of 3, 4, 5, 7, and 9. Enjoy.
Wow, that was very well coordinated. I'm really impressed. So, you mentioned just now that there's some sort of chat session before your practices. So, Indian dance sounds like a very bonded CCA.
We are. We are a very small and close-knit group of dancers. No one feels like an outsider within our group. We are open to beginners and advanced dancers from all cultural backgrounds. We also do not charge any membership fee.
That's great.
That's right. So we also have dinners and lunches for us to bond together as a CCA. And on top of that, one interesting experience is once our IPP RJV actually got us matching earrings so that it helped all of us to bond together.
Wow, that's really nice. So can you tell us what your most interesting experience in Indian dance has been so far?
Earlier this year, we got the opportunity to perform at River Hangbao during Chinese New Year. We wore the full Bharatnatyam makeup and head jewelry. It was a great experience for all of us because for some of our dancers, it was their very first time performing in front of a huge audience. Moreover, the audience was so excited to see us and wanted to take pictures with us. We even taught them some of our dance moves and hand gestures, and it was a very fun experience.
Wow, if I saw you there, I would also want to take a picture with you. You guys look really amazing. All right, so now it's time to test your balance in a challenge. All right, so could you hold the pose for 45 seconds while I ask you a few questions? Give me a thumbs up when you're ready. Ready? Ready? Okay, then in 3, 2, 1, let's go. Okay, so can you tell us more about this pose?
So this pose represents the Lord of Dance, Nataraja, and it's actually quite easy to keep your balance. You just have to bend your knees slightly, and it's simple physics actually. You just lower your center of mass so that you can balance.
All right, so you also said that there are 2 classes a week. So when are these classes held?
We have the technique class for beginners every Thursday from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. and for advanced dancers every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m.
Okay, so it looks like you're all really good at holding this pose. So how is it actually painful for you?
Definitely is. My leg is going numb, but I'll challenge all of you guys to put a teddy bear on your head and give it a try.
Okay, looks like time's up. Please recover. Okay, that looks really painful. How do you do that? Oh my God. That's great. Thank you, Indian dance. Thank you so much. All right, don't you wish you could dance like them? I sure do. Remember to send us your questions in the live chat and stand to win a prize if you're the first 3 to ask your questions. Okay, up next, we have some beautiful harmonica harmonies. Hi.
Hi, I'm Pei Xuan.
Hi, I'm Hong Kun.
Hi, I'm Inky.
Okay, great. So for starters, can you tell us a bit more about what you like about the harmonica?
Oh, I like harmonica because it has a very sweet tone and we can play a wide range of repertoires on it. A 12-hole chromatic harmonica covers 3 octaves, while a 16-hole chromatic covers 4 octaves. So we can play from classical pieces like pop music to contemporary pieces like anime songs on this small instrument. We can easily play chords and harmonies on harmonica as well. I have a short tip to show you how to do this. First, let's start with playing a single note. So, you will need to open your mouth to cover 4 holes on the harmonica and use your tongue to block the 3 holes on the left. So now you are playing into the hole on the right. Yes, you will be able to play 2 notes at the same time on harmonica. By doing the same thing, which is to open your mouth, cover 4 holes, and this time you will only use your tongue to block 2 holes on the left. You can also play a 6th interval on the harmonica. This one is a bit trickier than the 3rd interval, so now you will also cover 4 holes, but this time your tongue will block the 2 holes in the middle, and to play into the first and the last hole. Your mouth will need to open larger, like a smile, to cover up to 5 holes this time. And by blocking the 3 holes in the middle, you will be playing into the first and the 5th hole. Yeah, so with all these techniques, harmonica can be a really expressive instrument. That's why I like about it. Of course, there are other things that I like about harmonica as well, like it's very portable. I like to carry it around in my pockets. And yeah, it's a bit relatively cheaper than other instruments as well.
Yes, and the harmonica is very accessible because you can just pick it up, right? So now I'm wondering, are there any prerequisites to join NUS Harmonica?
Well, prior experience or musical background is not required in this hall. We welcome everyone who is interested in playing harmonica and who wants to learn and explore music. We have a special program called Members Music Program 1, or MM1, to teach the newcomers on basic harmonica playing techniques as well as some basic music theory. So personally for me, I'm completely new to harmonica, and I joined NS Harmonica because I've been wanting to pick up this instrument which I found versatile despite its simplicity. So I think NUS Harmonica serves as an opportunity for me to learn harmonica systematically. With the member music program, we have tutors who are really competent in playing harmonica to teach us on basics, and they will point out the mistakes we made on one-to-one basis so that we will not be struggling playing on the wrong way. We are also being taught about basic music theories like score reading during MP1 sessions, and I think I've been exposed to a greater harmonica scene in Singapore as well as worldwide. And thanks to NS Harmonica, I've been able to appreciate the music, especially classical music, in a way that I've never been before.
Wow, I think that's amazing that you have programs for members who are just starting out. So, other than the MMP one, what can new members look forward to?
Well, as a music group, our activities are usually centered around preparing for our 2 annual major productions. The day-to-day activities are not too different from other music groups where members join for practices, either in a big group or in smaller sections. Of course, it doesn't mean all we do is work and no play. We also have a range of welfare activities that makes NUS Harmonica more than just a collection of harmonica players. In fact, we have prepared a short video which goes into greater details about our production, practices, and welfare.
Wow, the piece you're playing sounds really nice.
Yeah, so it's Palladio in F minor composed by Carl Jenkins. We performed it live in Soiree 2019 in an orchestra setting. This is where we have different types of harmonica and harmonica sections performing live on stage. In fact, some of the visuals in the video were from that concert, and you can see a variety of harmonicas performing together. I think it's pretty impressive that a humble harmonica could be used to produce the music that we just heard.
Wow, thank you so much, NUS Harmonica. I never knew that the harmonica could be used to produce such incredible sounds. And we have earned some turkey bacon on our enormous sandwich that's shaping up very nicely. Next up, we have another music group that requires lungs as well. Let's welcome NUS Wind Symphony.
Hi,
Hello.
I'm Grace and I play the clarinet.
I'm Daniel, I play the French horn.
I'm Yongtat and I play the trumpet.
Amazing stuff. All right, I've always wanted to ask Wind Symphony members this, but which one of you can hold a note for the longest period of time? Since you have your instruments with you, let's try. Are you guys ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, on 3, 2, 1, let's go. Looks like we have a winner. Congratulations, Daniel. You have very impressive lung capacity.
Do I get a prize?
Well, I congratulate you. Well, so other than keeping your lung capacity up, so what have you been doing during the circuit breaker period to practice music-related stuff?
During this whole time, for me at least, being in the NUS Wincim Exco, I've been involved in a lot of planning for the upcoming academic year. Although the situation is still uncertain and it's difficult to plan events that most likely can't happen, the Exco is still pushing on. Other than that, I've been practicing the trumpet regularly, and I wouldn't say on a daily basis, but during circuit breaker, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been practicing on a daily basis either, so I kind of get where Yongta is coming from. But one of the bigger projects that I've been working on is actually NUS Here Carnival. And this is an event for the performing arts groups, usually held like in the NUS campus itself. And it's always very happening and lively, but due to COVID, the whole thing has gone virtual. So I am part of the virtual orchestra. And members of like wind symphony, symphony orchestra and choir, etc., all come together to perform a song, and we all had to record ourselves. The video is actually up on the Here website, and if you haven't checked it out, please go do look at it, because it was a first for me and it was super interesting to do it.
Well, for me, I've been trying to brush out my own music theory, and I also managed to tune into some online horn lessons which pop up during the circuit breaker, which is quite a new experience. And I've also been playing around with the acapella app, which has been becoming popular again, and like exchange recordings of Star Wars and Ghibli with my section mates. And I also did some recordings for larger ensembles, like for 7th of July. That was quite fun. And while it's not the same as performing live, it's the least that we can do in these times.
Wow, it looks like Daniel has been practicing a lot, so maybe that's why he could win just now. Well, so are these preparations for the upcoming semester?
Considering the current situation, we do not have a physical project that might happen in semester 1. The EXCO will be attempting to launch more online stuff because wind instrument players aren't allowed to have practice, or like they said, to further notice. Initially, the EXCO has been planning for a chamber concert that might happen in December, but I don't think that's feasible anymore. We might instead encourage our members to form small ensembles and do their personal recording at home. Our conductor, Mr. Francis Tan, has also put in a lot of effort in creating online classes for members. Hopefully, that will keep the members a little occupied while we wait for things to get better in this time of the year. Other than that, we will find better ways to engage members regarding playing of an instrument. This might potentially involve our tutors a lot more, so it is still not confirmed.
All right, moving on, let's talk about some of your experiences in NUS Wind Symphony. What's your favorite culture about NUS Wind Symphony so far?
Well, for myself, it has always been about the community spirit within the section and the band, and it's actually what makes me want to stay in NUS Wind Symphony. I mean, we have dinner together before practice, of course, back when we could, practice sectionals and joke around, and it's a very welcome and much needed break from studies. And we support one another for difficult parts and solos in the music, and that morale boost is one of the many things that I like about NUS Wind Symphony. Yeah.
Yeah, and just to bounce off this idea of community spirit and mingling with people, I mean, like, I'm a fourth year, so coming from my perspective, it is quite difficult to meet people in university because you're in and out of classes real fast. So it's hard to actually meet someone. So to be able to come back to a student group like NUS Wind Symphony, where you get to mingle with people of different years, is really nice. And you also get to meet people of different playing levels, because they have various music backgrounds coming from, like, some people come from SAF band, some people come from JC, and that allows you to learn so much more from them. So all in all, it is a community where everyone comes together to help and support each other. But of course, there are some requirements to join the group because we don't have formal auditions. And the requirements are you need 4 years of music experience from secondary school onwards. So, for example, you could be a musician from Sec 1 to Sec 4, or maybe you join in Sec 3 all the way to JC 2. So if you're interested in joining us and you meet those requirements, we welcome you with open arms, of course.
To build on what Grace said, due to the current situation, we are not actually opening that many slots in Sem 1. NUS Wind Sim is also increasing the recruitment requirements by creating a flowchart for the recruitment process. Of course, there are good reasons why we are doing that. With that said, we still have a recruitment process or rulebook to follow nonetheless. But in semester 2, there's a high chance that we'll be running another recruitment drive. We are planning to put those not accepted into a waiting list, and then we'll call them back for semester 2. Of course, this is assuming that everything goes well and that we can have full band practice once again. With this assumption, we hope to do a welcome tea session at the start of year 2. This way, we can properly access the skills of those not accepted in Sem 1 and then welcome them back. It was a tough decision, but currently NUS Wind Sim is quite full. So there's a high chance that members might face a shortage of instruments if we accept anyone and everyone. There'll be more information available in our website. Follow our Instagram as well at NUS Wind Sim.
So competition is stiff with many quality players and limited slots. So may the odds be ever in your favor if you choose to apply. Hope you get in. And since they've stayed within 7 minutes, we'll be getting some mushrooms on our sandwich. All right, next up, let's move to another drama CCA. Let's welcome Chinese drama.
Hi. Hello. Hi, I'm Yi Ying.
Hello, I'm Chin Yi.
And I'm Chu Yu.
All right, can you tell us a bit more about what you do in NUS Chinese drama?
Sure. We will show you a breakup scene from one of our training sessions.
But is this all we do in NUS Chinese drama? No. Besides acting, we use theatre as a medium to facilitate the discussion of society issues in Singapore.
That's right. That is why, for our production in 2019, we tried out guerrilla theatre. It's a form of theatre that presents spontaneous surprise performances in public spaces to unsuspecting audiences.
Yes, so we had 4 different productions at 4 locations on campus. You can watch all of them on our Instagram page at NUS Chinese Drama. And in all shows, we focused on the marginalized.
All right, so could you tell us a bit more about what your production process is like?
So as part of our production process, we first had to decide on which marginalized group we wanted to discuss.
Yeah, so as you can see in this photo, this is an example of our brainstorming process where we were split into groups, and then each group will have to present a still motion on the potential issues faced by the marginalized, while the other groups will then have to guess which part of the marginalized community we are trying to portray.
Yeah, in this particular photo, the group was trying to portray a lady that has fallen down and yet receives no help at all from the busy passerbys. So we gain our inspiration from the things that we see and hear about in our lives.
Yeah, and in order to put up a good show, there are also many departments needed, such as the directors, the props team, and stage managers and all. So as a member of the marketing department, we played the mediating role of explaining the purpose of our act to the public after the show so that they are aware it's actually a performance. What about you, Chini?
So I was a director for a show. When our teacher told us that the theme is the marginalized in Singapore, I had a lot of ideas on what to present, for example, the old and the disabled. However, there was a problem as the CCA are made up of youngsters like us, so it wasn't feasible to get a 20-year-old guy to act like a frail old man and expect the public to not suspect that it's an act. So after some discussions with our teacher and my group, we decided to present on the issue where cleaners in Singapore are often neglected. And what was cool was that we were also able to discuss inequality as we crafted our protagonist as an elite NUS student scolding a food-cart cleaner.
Wow. All right, so now we have a video showcasing some of this guerrilla theatre in question.
Why? Can't you speak English? You know what this is? This is NUS, not a place for child dudes like you. 就知道你们这些没读过书的东西都是废物。
怎么样嘛？你会说英文，你很了不起是吗？别人大学生都这么有素质，就你没有家教。
Good, that's not rude. I demand an apology now.
Wow, that was really intense. I could actually feel myself cringing while watching it because it was so realistic. All right, so this was actually featured by NUS News and also on the local news. So could you tell us a bit more about what you felt during the whole thing?
The video is pretty short, but honestly, it felt like forever when I was in the middle of it. Acting in outside locations instead of being on screen means that there's a lot of focus and attention on you as the act is going on. I frankly did not expect the whole canteen to go silent, and I froze for half a second longer than I was supposed to. So I think as an actor, the biggest takeaway would be on how we should handle unexpected situations. Doing pre-work with your director on the script helps a lot with that, as it organizes your thought and keeps you in character even as things happen to you on the spot that were not supposed to be there at all.
Right. And if you notice in the video, there was even a guy who came forward and wanted to stop us.
Yeah, I remember that. There was also a guy who IG storied it without knowing that there was a performance at all. It was pretty mad to see my own IG blow up with messages from people that I know asking me what has happened. But really part of the point was to raise awareness and to create outrage for the surrounding public. I did get a lot of bad press, but it was all in good faith, so I was not too worried. Honestly, most people forgot who I was after a while, so it was all good.
All right. Well, that sounds like an experience, all right. So, apart from production, what are your most memorable experience in Chinese drama so far?
Everything is about play and games for me, really. There's actually no better way to learn about acting and drama than to really explore and test out different expressions and ways of saying things. By the way, all of them are conducted in Chinese.
Ooh.
Yep. For me, I guess it was the funny moments we had during trainings and workshops. For example, we had this prop making session where we used recycled materials to create like a whole chicken prop from scratch. And for someone like me who isn't very artistic, I would have never imagined utilizing all these materials to create like food prop if not for this workshop. And I believe it's this very safe and inclusive space that allows us to work and think freely.
Yeah. And my best memory is even though I joined the CCA with literally zero knowledge and experience in acting, everyone is so supportive and accepting of each other. And then my 1 year of joining Chinese drama, other than learning how to portray a certain character, as a byproduct, I felt like I've also become more self-aware and understand myself better now.
Wow, it looks like you guys like almost all aspects of Chinese drama, and I'm very happy for you. So thank you, Chinese drama, for joining us today. All right, if you have any questions for the CFA groups, do send in your questions via live chat. All right, to round off our 21 excellent CFA groups, we have our largest group of all, Dance Blast. Hi!
Hello, thanks Abu for having us. I'm Amanda.
Abu, I'm Sekiat.
Hello, I'm Lee.
All right, so I heard that Dance Blast is about exploring street dance and open choreography. So can you tell us more about what you mean by this?
Yep, sure thing. So exploring open choreography, what we mean is that we want to help you find variations of a simple dance move that you learn. For example, the hand wave or just the two-step, and try to apply them in your own way. So to make this even clearer, we have prepared a video of myself exploring the simple hand wave and using 10 variations of it in my dance choreography. Hope you enjoy it.
Wow, looks like you have more waves than the beach. So how do your trainings help you prepare for stuff like this?
Oh, actually, in many ways. So our weekly trainings will be carried out according to our holistic dance syllabus. So we actually divided the entire academic year into 4 segments, and each segment will focus on exploring a different aspect of exploration. So for example, the first segment in semester 1 will focus on the foundational dance elements, such as grooves, isolations, dynamics, and musicality. And then the second half of semester 1 will build on this first segment, and it will help us explore how these foundational dance techniques can come together in various ways to create choreography. And then eventually in semester 2, our dancers will get to explore how they can develop their own personal style in choreography or in various genres. But given the current COVID-19 restrictions, our weekly trainings will be carried out online via Zoom. And while it is inevitable that a virtual class setting will not be as conducive compared to a physical class, we actually see this as an opportunity for our dancers to further explore dance in collaboration with other art forms. An example being film. So we hope to create the space or the platform to encourage our dancers to explore dance concert videos instead of like a virtual performance. Yeah.
All right, I think it's amazing that you transform limitations into opportunities. So now, can you tell us more about what a BLAST member can expect in BLAST?
Wow, I'm really glad you asked, Apu. So actually, I have a question for you. Do you know what dance battles are? Have you heard of them?
Kind of, I guess.
Oh yeah, because that's one of our events when we actually have a video for you. So we can play the video right now.
Yes, another video.
So yeah, this is Battle of the Blasters. So it's a freestyle event, and it's one of the events where individuals and teams pit their freestyle skills against each other to music that's played on the spot. So actually, you see all these crazy moves that are being done. None of it is actually planned. It's things that are played on the spot with music that's not known to you. And yeah, it's a freestyle battle, and it's for sure one of the most explosive and anticipated events of the year, especially if you like freestyling or if you want to see current students and alumni share their craft with one another. So yeah, as you can see, this is the Battle of the Blasters actually earlier this year, and you can see this is me at the end of my first year in Blast, and that's me against one of our alumni members, Ivan, from many batches ago. And yeah, you can see it gets pretty intense, but you can see the crowd is all watching and everyone's like trying to give in, feed the hype. Yeah, it's definitely one of the events that I look forward to most of the time, and that a lot of people, they are really excited to see as well. Yeah, honestly, for me, this is one of the most pivotal moments in my dance journey, and I really hope that people can experience this as well.
Congrats!
So yeah, that was Battle of the Blasters Volume 7. So this is one of the events that you can look forward to in Blast. And besides freestyle events like this, we also have choreography competitions like Blast to Glory, where you get to form your own teams and compete against your fellow Blasters and also other university teams as well. And we also have non-competitive events like Freshie Showcase and annual concerts like Shut Up and Dance and Blast Out of Bounds, which gives our members opportunities to perform with their CCA mates and also interact with guest choreographers. Side note is we've actually collaborated with our sister club MTUMJ for many years now, and sometimes we even have international choreographers that come down to choreograph for us. And speaking of wider exposure, camps like Blast Camp also provide masterclasses for our members. Our recent camp spotted an extensive lineup of world-renowned choreographers coming from Thailand, Korea, and even the United States. And of course, to make all of this possible, we have to have funds, and members and alumni can look forward to sharing their craft through 2 fundraising events that happen throughout the year. So yes, if you like this lineup of events, be sure to look out for our 20th year special edition for them this year, and also for our respective channels to sign up for Sport in Blast as well.
All right, it looks like you have the moves and sure have a blast doing it. Thank you, Dance Blast. All right, and once again, that was our largest CFA group. We have had our last 7 groups today, and all of them provided such insightful and inspiring accounts of their experiences. Now, it's finally time for our Q&A. That cereal we've unlocked. Crunchy. Don't forget, we have 21 tokens that are up for grabs. Keep sending in your questions and you might win $10 boba tea vouchers, iron-on stamps from Lion Dance, Haldiram Indian snacks, baby harmonicas coupled with a music CD of harmonica master Yasuo Watani, $10 Domino Pizza vouchers, NUS Chinese drama files and t-shirts, and A4 sheet music folders from NUS Wind Symphony. Now, let's dive into the questions. I have a big bowl with me again, and I'll be fishing for questions randomly. All right, let's see what questions we have today. This question is for Dance Blast. How do you gain inspiration on what kind of moves can be done?
What kind of inspiration we have? Oh, it's a very interesting question. I think inspiration can really come from anywhere because like your dance is your own. And I think for me, when I was growing up, I watched a lot of cartoons, a lot of anime, like read a lot of short stories and everything. So I think even the smallest things like, oh, you can like do this one move that you see like in the cartoon, and you're like, okay, let's try to build from there, and then yeah, they can really go anywhere. So yeah, find your inspiration wherever you want.
That's interesting. I should also learn to find inspiration and maybe I'll be a dancer one day. Who knows?
For sure, for sure.
Not as good as you though. Okay, but let's move on to our next question. This question is for Chinese drama. What are the other types of theatre that you do?
Wow. There is a lot of things that's actually involved in theatre. So I think this is a really good question. I think one of the things that are interesting to explore is there's playback theatre and there's also adaptations. So maybe I just explain a little bit about adaptations. Adaptation is this thing where you can take an existing play and then you make it your own, you add certain flavors to it. And I think that's the fun and interesting bit about theatre in general. You can inject your own elements into very famous and interesting works that and then you then make that entirely your own as an actor and as a team together in drama. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know you could do that with theatre. Is that your favorite kind of theatre?
I think there are a lot of aspects of theatre in general, and I am a novice,
I
so
see.
I am still in the middle of exploring.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you so much for sharing. Let's move on to our next question. Okay, this question is for Wind Symphony. What measures do you take to boost community spirit in Wind Symphony? That's an interesting question.
Well, yeah, it's a very good question, and I think it is also a difficulty, but it's also a good kind of challenge because NUS Wind Symphony is so big. Like even some of our sections alone have like 10 people in the section. You all know who you are. The welfare, for example, we have a welfare officer in the exco who also um, takes charge in organizing like band community activities. So back before COVID, when we could meet up, we would have Chinese New Year celebrations together. Like we would low hay at the end of band practice. We'll have band barbecues. We have like angel mortal kind of games, and we have band camps, and basically there's a lot of activities that happen throughout the year, and even during the holidays to keep the band bonded together and really get people to know each other, and it's been really fun. Yeah.
I see. So it seems like your welfare officer must be kept quite busy throughout the year if you have so many events. That's great to hear. Okay, so
Very busy.
let's move on to our next question. Okay. This question is for Indian dance. Is there significance to the leg poses as well?
Yes, of course. So for the pose we were doing during the 30 seconds challenge, it's called the Natrajan pose as Pranati mentioned. So it is an advanced balance pose associated with the dance, god of dance called Shiva, and it brings grace, peace of mind, and clarity. It is one of the most challenging poses as it involves immense strength, balance, flexibility, especially in the entire front line of the body. Moreover, it strengthens your upper back, quadriceps, ankle, and feet. This also helps you to exercise the small and stabilizing muscles that are usually difficult to strengthen. So, to sum up, this pose is a gym in itself.
I see. Wow, that sounds like a very difficult pose to do. I think if I were to try to attempt it, I would probably break the floor, but I shall not do that today. We'll move on to our next question, jokes aside. This question is for EMCC. Is the learning curve for new members in EMCC crew very steep?
Okay, so I think this is dependent on the roles that the members are interested in. So for roles like front of house, stage crew, or like stage managing, I would say no because they don't require like a lot of technical knowledge, more towards like soft skills like management and interpersonal communications. But then for roles like lighting, it might be a little bit tough initially because of the technical knowledge that comes with it. But learning it with no experience is not impossible, and we have resources available and seniors in the CCA who are more than willing to teach what they know. So of course, the easiest way to pick things up is through like on-the-job learning. So as long as you have the heart to learn and to grab the opportunities present, we are a really great platform to like learn all these new things. Yeah.
Okay, so newbies who are listening out, you heard that from EMCC. You don't need too much experience as long as you're willing to learn. That's great. Let's move on to our next question. Okay, we have 2 more questions left. That's fast. This question is for NUS Harmonica. Do we have to buy our own harmonicas in NUS Harmonica?
Yes, you do, because we believe in having you practice regularly. So it's always the best for you to own your own harmonica. For beginners, we actually sell them because we know it's not a very common instrument to have. So you can buy, when you join us, you can buy it from us. And you can buy your own as you progress, because generally a better harmonica costs a little bit more. But as you get better, you become your instrument. So it's best that you own it as well.
Wow, that's very interesting. And also, I really enjoyed your performances just now during Club Sandwich. So thank you for performing for us. Let's move on to our last question. Our last question is for Lion Dance. How long does it take for an absolute beginner to learn how to perform?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because I was there last year as well. I was a totally like a fresh beginner to learn lion dance. So I would say that it takes around 2 to 3 months of practices, regular practices to pick up like instruments or pick up like the basic moves of like lion dance. Actually, is as long as you have the heart to learn, it will be quite fast for you to pick up as well. So as a fresh beginner myself, I would say that after this one whole year of attending like training and stuff like that is already quite at a certain level already. Yeah. Whereby I'm able to go to like performance such as like the Chinese New Year period. I've really done like multiple performances in various positions such as like cymbals, the lion, and even the gong itself. Yeah.
I see.
So
Well, thank you so much for sharing. It looks like we have a lot of beginner-friendly CCAs in CFA. So thank you all to the groups for sharing so candidly during our Q&A segment. And that's all for tonight. Thank you so much, EMCC crew, NUS Lion Dance, NUS Indian Dance, NUS Harmonica Orchestra, NUS Wind Symphony, NUS Chinese Drama, and not to forget, NUS Dance Blast. Over these 3 days, we have seen the sincerity and passion of these clubs. They have put in so much work to share with you all that they do. So let's all applaud all these clubs for taking time off their busy schedules to show us the inner workings of their CFA groups. Yay, okay. Now stay tuned to watch me assemble and finally eat our club sandwich. Thank you all for joining us these past 3 days and have a wonderful night ahead. Finally, we are going to assemble our unique CFA club sandwich. While some groups did not get their ingredients, it's all part of making this sandwich special. It would be so boring if I had all the ingredients, right? Everyone's efforts have allowed this show and this sandwich to be possible. Now, let's get started. Okay, let's do it! Wow, that's an explosion of flavors. Thank you for staying with us. I'm going to finish the rest of this now.
Thank you to all the CFA groups who have shared with us today, and also to Abu for hosting. An hour is way too short to know these groups, so if you'd like to find out more of any of these groups, go to cfa.nus.edu.sg/explore/talent, or alternatively, Google the CFA CCAs. I'm sure you can find many of them on Instagram too. And ding! It's time for another giveaway for the fourth and last Here to Win segment of the Here Arts Carnival. A really big thank you for staying with us throughout this carnival. But for those tuning in now, let me go through the rules one last time. Make sure that you are registered for chat space and use the chat function to correctly answer a question about the Here Arts Carnival. All answers can be found on the Here Arts Carnival website. And for this giveaway, you stand a chance to win $50 worth of Far East Mall vouchers. Everyone ready? Then let's go! On to our very last questions for the Here Arts Carnival. The Here Arts Carnival was brought to you by NUS Centre for the Arts. Apart from the carnival, they also organise the university's flagship arts event. What is the name of that event? If you have enjoyed your time at the Here Arts Carnival, you should follow NUS CFA for even more arts offerings happening in NUS all throughout the year. Follow us on Facebook or Instagram at NUS CFA, where we post features of the CFA arts groups, upcoming performances, programs, and various art opportunities. As the academic year begins, so do the programs for the ExxonMobil Campus Concerts, or EMCC, Semester 1 season. There will be films, interactive experiences, and online performances of all kinds. So follow at NUSCFA for the latest updates. And with that, we have our final winners for the day. We will be contacting you through your registered email by next Monday, so do keep a lookout for that. That was our last Here to Win segment for the carnival. But the giving does not stop here. Up next, Open Circuit Awards ceremony is about to begin.
Hello everyone, I'm Tara and you're with Open Circuit. It's our last night together at the Here Arts Carnival and that's a big shame, but what better way to end off a carnival than with an awards ceremony? Because leading up to today, we have been screening 3 short videos created by our very own NUS students and staff about their circuit breaker experiences. And all of you, our beloved Here Arts audiences, have chipped in to vote for your favourites. Tonight, voila, the votes are all in. As before, we'll be bringing the top 3 finalists onto the show to receive your judgment and, of course, their prizes. But in case you've missed it, let's recap. Open Circuit called on participants to create videos incorporating elements of our circuit breaker starter pack. That is, Dalgona coffee, toilet paper, Zoom, pajamas, and of course, pets. The third prize winner will receive $50 in boba tea vouchers. Second prize winner gets $100 in boba tea vouchers and $30 in Spotify gift card value. And the winner of the first prize wins $150 in boba tea vouchers and almost $60 in Spotify gift card value. And now, you know their faces, you've loved their videos, and your votes have brought them here tonight. So let's bring on our top 3 Open Circuit finalists. Hi Edward and David. Hi Jesslyn, and hi Ting Ting. Ting Ting is representing NUS Dance Synergy as Arvo can't join us today. So, are you guys feeling nervous tonight? Edward and David, how are you guys feeling?
A bit, I guess.
And Jesslyn, you?
I didn't think I would be nervous, but I'm actually feeling nervous now.
Starting to matter. And Ting Ting?
Yeah.
I'm feeling okay, I guess. All for the fun.
Okay, and I mean, now I guess we're going to find out whose bubble tea dreams will be coming true and who's going to have that bubble popped. It's time for the results. Okay, so in third place, winning $50 in boba tea vouchers. Our third place winner is Dance Synergy! Woo! Congratulations, Ting Ting. Go knock yourself out with NUS Dance Synergy, of course, with all that bubble tea. And thank you so much for joining us here tonight. Do you have any words to share?
I'm very glad that we had the opportunity to create a video for Open Circuit, and we had a lot of fun as a group making the video, and we hope that the other two of y'all did as well.
Oh, thank you so much, Ting Ting. But we have to say goodnight now, unfortunately. So, bye, Ting Ting, and thank you for representing the Synergizers tonight. But now it comes down to our final two contestants. So, Edward, David, and Jesslyn. As the two last finalists, you've both submitted such wonderful videos. Any last words you want to say to one another before we release the final results? Okay, how about Jesslyn, you go first.
All the best, and I really enjoyed your magic tricks. Yeah, and I think like even the introduction was really funny. Like I laughed at it.
I did too. Edward and David.
Yeah, thanks so much, Jesslyn. We also really like your song. It was quite cute. And like, just hope everyone... you cute as well. Okay. And just hope everyone was enjoyed.
Okay, I live for this drama. Okay, so now let's bring on the grand reveal of the night. So, okay, I'm going to announce the second place and then of course the first place. So, our second place winner for the night is Edward and David, which means our first place winner is Jesslyn. Woo! Let's thank Edward and David for being here with us tonight, and of course having shared their wonderful video with us. And bring on Jesslyn to say a few words of how she's feeling.
Hi. Okay. I did not prepare for this moment, but yeah, I'm really happy and thank you for voting for me. Thank you, everybody, and I really appreciate the support. And yeah, I guess like it means quite a lot to me. I didn't think it would until like this whole thing actually happened, and then I was like, okay, actually this is my first time like doing something like that, and I really really hope like, yeah, as in like I'm just so thankful that yeah, like y'all appreciated it, y'all liked it, and yeah, I guess that's what matters to me the most. Thank you.
To say goodnight to our audience and close for the night. So it's been a blast watching the entire show unfold over these 3 days and of course hosting this program. And thank you so much to everyone for watching the show and for participating in Open Circuit, and to you, our audience, for being with me these 3 nights. It's been really amazing seeing the positive and humorous responses to the difficult time of circuit breaker from our very own community. And of course, Open Circuit would also like to thank NUS Electronic Music Lab for providing our lovely sound effects and theme music. I hope you've enjoyed your time with the show and at the Here Arts Carnival. And this is Tara, your host for Open Circuit, for the last time saying goodbye and good night.
And with that, we have come to the end of the Here Arts Carnival. This year's carnival has been quite different from other years. Though I'm sure we all miss being physically together, this online edition has brought many different people together in spite of the distance between us, and exposed us to art and creativity of all kinds. The best part about this online edition is that everything has been beautifully curated and recorded down for everyone to enjoy, even after these 3 days have ended. I would just like to commend the Here Arts Carnival organising team for taking the COVID-19 situation in their stride and bringing this entire event online for more people to enjoy. The arts ambassadors and students organisers for helping with planning this event, and of course, NUS Centre for the Arts for putting all of this together. Shout out to Shirin, Abu, Tara and the various hosts over the past few days, and we hope you, the audience, enjoyed your time with us. A huge thank you to all our sponsors: Andersons of Denmark Ice Cream, Boba Tea, Bread Talk, Domino's, Far East Organization, and Hai Di Lao. Thank you to all our participants and contributors. This could not have happened without you all. Finally, big thanks to all of you for being a part of this carnival together with us. We hope you have enjoyed the past 3 days of carnival activities. Our love for art continues. You can take part in Return to the Fold, a construction of our very own Phoenix paper sculpture in appreciation of our NUS heroes. Or upload a selfie of Unmasked, an interactive AI-driven online audio-visual installation. Or continue watching the individual programs on our website cfa.nus.edu.sg/here. Remember to stay safe and stay healthy, to maintain safe distancing between us, but also to think of us in the space between. Have a good night, everyone. Bye!